Hello. Welcome to Shmirchik, Veterans Corner, where you will experience all the unpleasantness that comes with me. So, today is November 18. November? Are we November? Yeah. Right, yeah, we are November. November 18, 2024. And what's new today, right? Like, what is new? What's going on? So let's talk about something that I wanted to talk about yesterday, but I just didn't do it because I just didn't. Right? And so, through Taliban territory and Israeli travelers surreal Afghan adventure. Do you want to hear about that? Do you want to hear about a 50-year-old adventurer with a foreign passport who, for work purposes, visited Afghanistan sometime in the past year? He regales to Ynet his unusual trip to the land of the Taliban. Why would anyone want to go there? Like, I don't understand, especially if you're Israeli. Like, don't you know what can happen to you? You know what I'm saying? Don't you know you're like Jewish or Israeli? You go to Afghanistan where the Taliban is. And, like, that's what you want to do? You want to go there and face people that want to just, like, kill you because of who you are? Like, why would you do that to yourself? Like, I don't get it. Right? So, he's a medical administrator specializing in operating field hospital as part of Doctors Without Borders, says David. He uses Afghanistan. He also visited Afghanistan 11 years ago. He treated Afghan refugees. So there's also a concept of, you know, Israelis doing humanitarian relief for people who are in trouble from natural disasters and so on and so forth, right? So, for example, like in the Philippines, if there is a disaster, a lot of the time, Israel will go and do, they will take a bunch of doctors and nurses and they will go with food and shelter and all that, and they will help the people out who are in a crisis, right? You'll never see the Islamists doing that for any other people or even for their own people, but the Israelis, they will make the effort to go and provide assistance to those in need. And that is part of what Judaism is about. It's about being a light unto the world and unto the nations and to help people. And so this guy, it seems he's part of those people that are from this organization of Israelis that are Doctors Without Borders. And he went to Afghanistan 11 years ago and he treated Afghan refugees across the globe. And with the Red Cross, he visited the notorious Guantanamo Bay detention camp. So he's familiar with the Afghan people and he wanted to see the tumultuous changes the country has undergone since the American withdrawal in 2021. This picture is a lake in Band-e-Amer National Park in Afghanistan. So they asked the question, did your family in Israel know you were going to Afghanistan? He said he didn't want to give them a heart attack, so he told the close family that he was going to the Gulf area and that he would be out of contact due to meetings in remote areas. So he was asked, did you conceal your Israeli identity? Obviously, he says, I showed up with a new phone with no trace of Hebrew, and I had to make sure not to search for Ynet or WhatsApp friends in Israel. I'm used to it. This is what I did in Dubai when I was traveling on my European passport. So it looks like even if Israelis go to Dubai, for example, they can have the same experience where if you're identified, if you're like, for instance, right, Dubai, Dubai is supposed to be friendly towards Israel. Also, Saudi Arabia is supposed to have the Abraham Accords, and they're supposed to be friendly towards Israel, but you still can't trust them that they will be friendly to you because the Islamic sentiment, generally, is like a religious problem where they are anti-Semitic because of their religion. And so you can't know who will want to kill you because you're Jewish, and especially if you're not in Israel, right, in your home territory, and who will miss you, right, so they can just kill you. So, right, so he concealed his Israeli Jewish identity, obviously. So they ask, were you scared? He says, his hosts, representatives of a foreign country, assured me that visiting Afghanistan today under Taliban rule is safer than it was when American forces were there, when there were Taliban terrorist attacks, and there were crime on the streets. It's relatively calm there now. I also don't think they'd imagine that an Israeli would be so stupid as to go there of their own accord. So this is local Afghanistan men alongside armed men. So these are the locals and these are armed Talibanis. What are the hotels like there? The hotels are just fine, he says. They have regular bathrooms and comfortable hygienic conditions for tourists. The local food is good and there are no cockroaches in the rooms. Seriously? Seriously? They actually have like revenue for tourism in Afghanistan? That's wild. The locals generally don't speak English. I think that anyone who spoke English and collaborated with the American occupation either escaped or was murdered. So if you're American and you go to Afghanistan, you will get killed, even if you want to go on vacation. So you will get murdered. The Russian occupation, also if you're Russian, it seems like. However, it means that some of the Taliban speak Russian. So David says that the bitter cold in the winter months came as a surprise. It was 10 Celsius. I didn't know it would be that cold. I bought myself Afghan togas and wrapped myself in them. They're like huge bed covers made of cotton and sheep's wool, and they're very warm. What do they eat in Afghan restaurants? An amazing combination of Central Asian, Indian, Pakistani, and Persian cuisine. I loved their kebabs and rice, as well as their veal and lamb dishes. They eat well. I was sure to ask for my food not too spicy, as they love their chili. The street food is also great, and I had no stomach trouble. The food is the best. In the best restaurants in town costs $7, and you can have a meal at an excellent restaurant for half of that. This is the Rozi Saki Shah-e Mardan Mosque. Its courtyard is paved with consecrated tombstones of Taliban opponents buried beneath. Where are we? Which people now tread upon. So there are like graves underneath and they're walking on the graves. That's so creepy. Okay, so there's no alcohol and no Coca-Cola as it's American. They have an Afghan brand called Super Cola, which is not as sweet or as carbonated, that he highly recommends. I didn't see Afghan hashish. Hashish? I think it's like that bong which you... Or no, it's like some sort of drug. It's not a drug, but it's close to marijuana, maybe, right? But everyone talks about Afghan opium, so they do drugs, right? But it's probably made of like some sort of natural compound, I'm assuming. Maybe not, right? During the American occupation, it was widely grown, mainly for export. Now, under Taliban rule, getting involved with opium exposes you to the risk of the death penalty. I did, however, see lots of opium fields in the countryside. Wow, that's wild. Opium, you know, it's like a real it's a real drug, right? The locals are nice to foreigners and always ask where you're from. But the armed Taliban, who are on the streets and roadblocks, could eat you alive. They're Islamic extremists who viewed me as an infidel. At some checkpoints, I felt they were herding around me like hungry wolves. They told my guy that they really wanted to kill the infidel and get to paradise, but that they would restrain themselves for fear of punishment. It was extremely unpleasant. They're the cruelest people on earth. They stone women to death and murder in cold blood. The Taliban rules the country with an iron fist. Women are absent from the public domain, and the very few who are out are covered up in burqas. Their schooling ends in 6th grade, and they're forbidden to drive. Forced polygamy at a very young age means that suicide is widespread among young women. So women kill themselves because they don't want to be married to a man with like 10 wives. So this is one of Kabul's hills. What attracted you to Afghanistan? So he says, it has lots of history, archaeology, current affairs, and beautiful untamed nature. Afghanistan is a vast country. Alexander the Great passed through there on his way to India over 2,000 years ago. The Silk Road also went through. As a boy, I collected stamps from all over the world, including from Afghanistan. Maybe that's what got me into discovering countries. I don't like hackneyed kind of trips. I wanted to see whether it's like what you see on TV, so I went. I actually had fun, and I didn't feel the adrenaline. I'm quite used to traveling under assumed identities in dangerous regions, and I don't want the danger to prevent me from seeing wondrous things. So he's an idiot. This guy is basically an idiot because he'll put himself in danger in order to see nature, right? I'm not like that. I'm just like, why on earth would you go to godforsaken places? Like, Afghanistan is a godforsaken place, so why would you go there, right? So they ask, did you meet other Western tourists? He says, very few. I could count them on my fingers on one hand. I hardly saw Western aid workers either. Is there shopping? Is there shopping? Right? It's too hot. Is there shopping? Obviously, there are no malls, but they do sell ethnic embroidery, carpets, Afghan hats, sculpted stone. There's no music. Right, and dancing is forbidden. So basically in Islam, you can't hear... everything is haram. In Islam, everything is haram. You can't hear music. You can't dance. You can't sing. You can't have a dog. Dogs are haram. Wine is haram. Pig is haram. Everything is forbidden. Everything. Women are haram only if you marry them and when they're like a child. Then you can have sex with a minor, with a child, right? Like, that's Islam. But, so dance is forbidden. On the road, we'd sometimes listen to old local pop music from the time of the American occupation and switch it off as soon as we got anywhere near a Taliban checkpoint. To be honest, the prohibition on music bothered me less, as I'm a book guy. There were plenty of other prohibitions, though, mainly about photographing women in modest clothing. This is a view from Afghanistan's Land of Fire, taken from the country's highest cricket field, among the highest in the world. Wow. It looks very pretty. That's wild. So, like, something I don't get is, like, do the Afghanistan Taliban, do they actually have their fingers in the mountainside? Up in the mountains? Like, is there tentacles that long where the people living in the mountains see the Taliban as well? Like, that would be really depressing. Like, I would think no, because it's so... Afghanistan seems huge. So it could be that, like, the people in the mountains wouldn't feel the clasp and the grasp of the Taliban, right? Excuse me. What's the deal with the LGBT in Afghanistan? It's an extreme paradox. On the surface, homosexual relationships between two adult men is as underground as it gets, and warrants the death penalty and complete family ostracization. That said, there's a sick and repulsive aspect, right? They have the Bakabazi boys. I did a video on that, where they have this tradition where they take little boys and they dress them as girls and they use those boys as prostitutes, right? So they will rape those boys, right? As long as it's a minor, it's not a problem. The Taliban can sexually abuse children on the streets. Exactly. It's the same thing that happens in most Islamic cultures, especially, like, if you're an IDF soldier, or you're somebody that you have binoculars and you can look into the Arab cities within Israel or in their own towns, you will see how they take children off the streets and they rape them, gang rape them, because it's not considered, especially they do to the boys, it's not considered homosexual if you rape a minor, right? So homosexuality is forbidden, but if you rape a boy, which is, it's still gay to take a child who's a male and rape them, it's still a homosexual act, but they don't see it as that, right? As long as it's a child. So this is the evil wickedness of Islam, where you can rape a child and they do it like wolves. They gang rape a child altogether. They humiliate a child. This is part of their culture, which is sick, right? The Taliban can sexually abuse children in the streets. This is accepted in terms of local culture, which is sick, right? This is the problem with Islam, but it's supposed to stop as soon as the minor grows up and marries a woman. After much deliberation, David authorized us to publish excerpts from his personal travel journal, excluding details that might endanger the lives of people with whom he traveled. Travel Journal from Afghanistan by David assumes name. After the American withdrawal, Afghanistan was thrown back into the Stone Age. Medieval times or the start of the 20th century, depending on what field. The Afghan airline, for example, is private, on time, and professional. They still have female flight attendants, but their planes are old and could be improved. We land in a small, dirty airport. I'm surprised that Afghanistan, they allow women to actually be, they let them be flight attendants. That's wild. I didn't know that. Right? So, I can't believe it. We landed in a small, dirty airport that felt somewhat Soviet with an American facelift. At first glance, time has stood still since August 16, 2021, the bloody day on which the Americans left Afghanistan. I see the barbed wire through which soldiers' babies were handed that day. Right, so with the Biden administration, with their disastrous withdrawal, what they did to the Afghanistan people, by basically what Biden did to the Afghanistan people was wicked and evil and cruel. What he did to the American troops, to the American soldiers, was wicked, evil, and cruel. He should have been impeached on the first day after that happened, right? After that disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, which left like 12, 13 soldiers killed and tons of Afghanistan people murdered by the Taliban, and the Taliban got all their hands on intelligence on who fought alongside the Americans against the Taliban, right? And so now the Taliban are hunting down those people because they know who they are, because the Americans stupidly left this information in Taliban's hands, right? So he says he sees a barbed wire through which soldiers' babies were handed that day. There are also lots of signs up in English, as well as military equipment left behind by the Americans, such as APCs and unmanned planes that have been transferred to the Taliban. This might sound familiar. The Americans believed that strengthening the Taliban after withdrawal and continuing funding projects would bring stability to the region. That's wild. That's crazy. I get my suitcase. My visa has already been issued in Dubai. After passport control by Taliban personnel, I see a big sign reading, "I love Afghanistan," and the Super Cola logo. Kabul, the capital, is huge, probably 4 times the size of Tel Aviv. Right? So that's one thing people don't get, is that these countries are ginormous. Like, Israel is tiny. We're non-existent on the map, right? And yet, they all want to take it from us. This tiny sliver of land, the Jews can't have it. It makes no sense. It makes 0 sense. And the Taliban are everywhere. Traffic wardens, security personnel at the entrance to sites, and policemen dispersed along the streets and across the entire public space. Most are illiterate and couldn't read my passport or documents. A tangible manifestation of what happens after a religious revolution. That's so sad. You know, like, one way to keep people as slaves is to prevent them from gaining knowledge, from reading, learning to read. Because if they read, they can get information. And it causes them to think, right? And if they can't read, then you can just tell them whatever you want and they'll believe you because they don't know anything else. So this is the tomb of the kings overlooking Kabul, riddled with bullet holes from wars. The tombs face a stadium once used for public executions. Wow. That's so scary. That's so creepy. This is something, like, you see all the bullet holes. This is something that you can see in Israel, right? If you go to the old city, you can see there are walls from 1948 war where there's bullets that are in the walls, right? Last time he was in Afghanistan, a decade ago, during the American occupation, being out during the day, and more so at night, was very unsafe. There were lots of bandits on the road, and police were corrupt. There was also the very real danger of terrorism by the Taliban. Today, after regime change, I felt much safer on the streets. Taliban stationed at 20-meter intervals keep order. The vast quantity of guns that were in public hands have been collected. And who dares steal when the punishment is having your hand chopped off? The few tourists that make it to Afghanistan may... Yeah, so this is Sharia, you know, like, they're very... it's very harsh. Islam is a very harsh religion. There's no forgiveness. If you steal, your hand gets chopped off. Right? There's no... And imagine if you are falsely accused of stealing something, they can chop your hands off anyway. They're very severe, the punishments. It's like the punishment doesn't fit the crime, but that's how they see things, right? A few tourists that make it to Afghanistan may wander the streets on their own a little, mainly near the hotel, if they're not accompanied by a local guide to explain what they're doing and help shoo away beggars and present documents. They'll be questioned by the Taliban, but it's not a genuine danger. So this is the bird market. So they sell birds. Wow. And a lot of these men, right, when they were children, a lot of you see these young men here, when they're children, they were raped and abused and sexually exploited by their families, by the traditional... They take the boys they rent the boys out, like, as prostitution, and they basically dress them up as girls in dresses. They're called bakabazi boys. So most of them, they have been abused by men, right? And they grow up as part of the culture, and they have trauma from this, And then what happens is that they marry women. Imagine how that fucks with your brain. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine the trauma that they feel, that they have to endure abuse at the hands of rich men who live in castles that are exploiting and using these boys for their own sexual gratification, when these are like children, like 5-year-olds. Like, can you imagine how sick and depraved you have to be as a culture in order to allow that to happen? And the families, a lot of them, they are poor, so, you know, they get told that they'll get paid if they let their sons, their boys, go and be abused. And then as soon as they hit puberty, right, because they're pedophiles, Islamic culture is pedophilia, right? So because of that, right, as soon as the boys reach the age of puberty, then that act, male on male, right, the act of sexuality on males on males, it becomes forbidden. And so if an adult male fucks like a boy that just turned 13 and he has reached puberty, then you can get killed. But otherwise, if the child is a child and he's prepubescent, and it's totally fine for you to rape them on the streets. They encircle them, and the same is in most Islamic cultures. It's the same way. Like, a lot of IDF soldiers, they say that they see these things. They have binoculars. They have to go and look in the binoculars at night to guard certain areas, and they look into the villages and they see what happens to these children, to these boys and girls, but mostly boys, where they encircle the boys. They'll take any boy off the street, because a lot of them, they're very free. The kids are free to roam around, and, you know, they're very wild. So they'll take these kids and they will have their way with them, and they'll do gang rapes. Like, it's part of their culture, and nobody thinks twice. Nobody thinks twice. It's part of. But the Israelis that watch with their binoculars, they see what's happening. They want to go in and save these children from these monsters, from the mob, and the children are crying and they're terrified, but there's nothing they can do, right? Somehow. It's part of Islamic culture. Like, what are you going to do? Arrest every single Islamic person in their village for abusing sexually a child? Like, they're all sexual abusers. Not all of them, most of them, right? And so, you know, to top off this fact about them being a pedophilic religion, besides for them marrying 8-year-old girls and 8-year-old girls, they marry their girls, to old men, right? Besides for that pedophilic issue within Islam, right? They also do it in their Islamic culture. They do it to boys, right? It's a very pedophilic religion, and it's very scary. There's nothing you can do, nothing. And the son of Hamas, he himself said that, like, he himself was raped by, who was he raped by? He was raped by, as a child, he was raped by his neighbor who raped him, and he never told anybody. And, right, and he says that if he would have told his mother or somebody that he was raped, they would have killed him and the rapist. But, right, because it's considered a shame on the family and it's homosexuality. But the thing is that I guess it's different from culture to culture, because, for instance, if you have Hamas members, they think that raping males is the punishment for raping a male is death for the rapist and the kid that was raped, right? But it looks like in Afghanistan, for instance, if a child was raped, it's part of the culture, completely part of the culture. Even though here in Islamic villages, it's also part of the culture, but it's more likely to get punished with it's more likely to be seen as homosexuality than just it being legitimate to be able to rape children, even though they do it every day, right? Like, and the Israelis that watch this from their binoculars and they see what's going on in these villages, they come out traumatized because they feel helpless. They can't help these children, and that's what happens to children every day. And that's what happened to the son of Hamas, and he speaks about it, and it's very depressing, right? So they drive to a fortified hotel in the new city in Chicken Street. His first thought was that if the police station in Sderot had looked like this, Sderot is down south near Gaza. He says if Sderot would look like this, it might have been saved from destruction on October 7th. Oh, okay, because if you look like an Arab market, then maybe you get spared somehow. Kabul's new city separates the Hazara quarter, the site of the Taliban terrorist attack, and the city center and the closed-off Muslim Brotherhood quarter where former President Hamid Karzai lived. Kabul is colorful. In addition to the Pashtuns who rule Afghanistan, there's a broad variety of ethnic groups, including the Baloch, the Kyrgyz, the Kazakhs, the Uzbeks, and more. Some cars have left-wheel drive, others right, and not all have license plates. This is the outskirts of the Blue Mosque in Mazar-e-Sharif, a site sacred to all Muslims, and now a regional hub for pro-Palestinian support. One must for a tourist to Kabul is to visit the tombs of the ancient kings in an unfinished, partly bullet-ridden mausoleum. So you go and there's dead bodies there. You know what a mausoleum is, when like they put them in a wall, in a shelf. On our way to the historic building, we walk through an old cemetery where I noticed ancient graves with Hebrew inscription. Oh wow. So as not to raise a suspicion, I obviously don't tell my companions. In the past, Kabul had a splendid ancient Jewish community. Right, but because of Muslim persecution on Jews, they had to flee to Israel, right? Today there are no Jews left in Afghanistan, none, right? Another prominent tourist site in Kabul with a dubious reputation is a Soviet stadium. Mass executions were carried out there. It's now covered with anti-American and anti-Soviet graffiti, the prevailing motto being first Islam, then Afghanistan. Another Israeli point of interest in Afghanistan, coming as no surprise, is a model of the Al-Aqsa Mosque set up after October 7th. This is a view from the Alexander the Great's fortress in Balkh, near Mazar-e-Sharif, northern Afghanistan. It's very beautiful, but it's just not my style of beauty, because I do not like desert. So, the guy says, the Taliban are wild beasts on a leash. They truly believe that if they murder a member of the Shiite Hazara minority every day, they'll go to paradise. So this is a religion, it's Islamic jihadi radicalism, where they literally believe that murder will get you to heaven. So they're both Islamists, but the Shiites and the Sunnis are killing each other, and they both believe if they kill each other, then somehow they'll get to heaven. They literally believe this shit. He says they'll go to paradise if they kill each other. Thanks to the American withdrawal, they believe the whole world is moving over to Islamic rule. At some checkpoints, they say they had to overcome the urge not to shoot me. The infidel, so they want to kill anybody who's not Islamic, right? So this is his experience in Afghanistan. And these people are murderers. They want to kill him just because he is Western. So if they kill him, a Western infidel, it's their key to paradise. Can you imagine? This is Islam, my friends. In Kabul, we also visited the famous bird market. The Afghans' favorite pets are songbirds, rabbits, wild chickens, and shepherd dogs that do well as guard dogs. It's a very cheap country. Nearly everything wears the traditional Afghan togas and Pashtan or Turkmen hats. Some of this looks a little bit like Texas or like the South, right? This is the outskirts of the Bamiyan Valley overlooking the Hindu Kush Mountains. On another day, touring Kabul, we saw some Turkish-Italian-style mosques and terraced gardens under renovation from the damage of the war. We also saw that very spot on the foul Kabul River, where an Afghan Tajik girl was murdered on grounds of desecrating the Quran. She had in fact come to the mosque to learn about Islam and was unresponsive to the mullah's advances. Oh, so this girl, she was killed just because she didn't want to have sex with the imams, you know? You know the holy men who sit there and lecture you on Islam in their Quran? So this girl comes to, this Afghan Tajik girl, she comes to this place to learn about Islam, and they try to fuck her. And she refused, so they killed her. And so then, in order to get revenge for the humiliation of being refused sex by a girl, because it threatens their power, right? They concocted a false accusation that she desecrated the Quran, and because of this false accusation, they killed her. They then falsely accused her. Police officers were injured trying to stop the incited mob, and she was dragged into a river and murdered. The criminals were imprisoned, and mullahs included, released a few years later. Right, so no one gets punished. A sad memorial stands at the spot. So you see here that in Islam there's zero accountability, there is zero responsibility, there is zero punishment. Women are treated as sex objects to be used, abused, and killed, and women have zero rights. It's a horrible place to live, really. It's a really God-forsaken place. Like, in the name of God, they will desecrate women, they will rape women and children, and in the name of their God. And that's their morality. It's immoral, and they are God-forsaken in their ways, right? From Kabul, we took an internal flight north, which left 45 minutes late, to Mazar-e-Sharif, the northern front's formal capital, then supported by the Americans. Here, Turkey does its best to protect the Turkish-speaking minority, and there are border crossings for goods from Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan. The missing Buddhas in Bamiyan Cliff, destroyed with dynamite by the Taliban just days before the 9/11 attacks and the U.S. invasion. Mazar-e-Sharif is beautifully lit up. Really sad what happened to that girl. It makes me angry. Right? Mazar-e-Sharif is beautifully lit up at night, but like all cities in Afghanistan, dead after dinner, as the Taliban prohibits playing music. Can you imagine? This is Islam. Why is it that all this like horror stories come out of Islamic countries? Like, literally, like, why is it that their religion that just inflicts misery onto humanity, and they just love to kill everybody and everything? It's just so horrible, so barbaric. Mazar-e-Sharif is impressive Hindu Kush mountains range northern passage, and the Blue Mosque and the Tomb of the Saint, with new signs supporting Hamas, are prominent tourist sites. I also met, for the first time, a British woman tourist angry with a Taliban man who wouldn't let her into the site. She lost her temper and was cursing the guard. Her guide stopped her in time and got her away lest she be dragged off to an Islamic court where they would kill her. Right? I like the lovely carpet, because, you know, a woman, she goes to tour, she thinks that she'll be able to go and see the site, but because she's a female, females are impure in Islam, and they have no rights, so therefore, and if they act out of line, they kill them. And if they don't want to accept the advances of the freaks who want to fuck them, then they get killed. So don't go there. Just don't go there. So this guy likes a lovely carpet market in Mazar-e-Sharif. Although, he says, I did find some of the designs somewhat repulsive, like the pictures of guns that defeated the Soviets and the Americans. The most popular designs is that of the falling Afghans, those poor civilians who tried fleeing Afghanistan the day America withdrew, holding onto the airplane wheels and falling to the ground from great heights. The next day, we visited the cities of Balkh and Samangan. On the way, we saw oxen plowing nomads' tents and children playing cricket. Alexander the Great stopped here 2,400 years ago en route to India. There's a huge wall and watchtowers and an acropolis turned garbage dump. What's an acropolis? Okay, and so this is when the U.S. withdrew from Afghanistan. It was terrible because all these people who colluded with America to fight off the Taliban, they were left like sheep to wolves. They were left to the mercy of the Taliban, who went to hunt all of those who colluded with the infidel, right? And so this is sick. It is evil. It's disgusting what Joe Biden did and his administration. They should have been impeached for this alone. This is U.S. Air Force. America turned their backs. America literally turned their backs on all those Afghanis who fought alongside them against the Taliban, against ISIS. They left them to the mercy of the ISIS and the Taliban and all those monsters, because they left all the intelligence and pictures of those who helped the USA, the army, right, against these monsters. And so when Russia saw what America did, that they weren't loyal to their allies, they decided to invade Ukraine. you'll see people falling. Wow. One guy, like a few guys, they held on to the airplane and it flew and then they fell. This is a disgrace to the Biden administration. It's just so disgraceful. It's, wow. Wow. The next day we went to Bamyan, so the guy continues his story about where he went next in Afghanistan. Why would the guy go there? Why on earth would anyone go to a country where they're just so, like, nasty? They're just horrible. There's monsters there, you know? Like, they're just not the religion of peace. The entire country is under siege by a bunch of terrorists. I don't get it. Why on earth? Why would anyone go there? Why? Why would you go there? Unless you're like, you want a suicide wish, you know, you're trying to end your life and go out with a bang, you know? So you go to one of these godforsaken countries. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why would you go? Why did anyone go there? Why would anyone in their right mind? You know, like, the next day we went to Bamyan, the city of the famous Buddhas, destroyed with explosives by the Taliban 23 years ago. The snow and the traffic meant we couldn't get to the mountain pass breached by the Soviets, so we took the traditional 12-hour journey along the Silk Road. Along the river, we also saw Hazara children fishing with individual fishing nets and playing cricket and volleyball, as well as a host of hairy, two-humped camel transporting nomads' tents and wares. We went into the village straight to a good restaurant. There were a lot of children selling incense and begging. This is horrible. Children begging? And not only, like, those children that are begging, they probably have nothing, and then they get used, they get exploited. Like, this is pedophile land's dream. This is a delight for the pedophiles. Because the children are fair game here, you know? The hotels are strategically placed in front of the Buddha caves and cliffs. Bamyan is a spectacular city. For me personally, however, it was very sad to see the destruction of the Buddha statues. From there, we went up to the Dragon Valley, a remote village in an arid valley on the outskirts of Bamyan. We then continued to the city of Screams, Shahr-e-Golgula, a fortified cluster of caves, once crowned as impregnable. Our next destination was the frozen Amir Lake, where there's a hotel inside a huge rock, and remote villages fed by the glacier water. Food and souvenir stalls and children sliding on broken jerry cans. The spectacular lake is part of a chain of 7 lakes, flowing into one another. We saw people hewing into the ice to fish. We heard the ice begin breaking, and saw a crack beneath our feet, and rushed back to dry land. This is a village along the route between Mazar-e-Sharif and Bamiyan. Seriously, I can't tell the difference between one place and the other. They all look the same to me, to be completely honest. The next morning, we went to Ghazni, birthplace of the first Islamic dynasty, bringing the enlightened message to northern India, and then on to Pakistan and Afghanistan. Right, it's enlightened message. Bringing it to India. It's basically, the more Islam spread, the more misery it brought with it onto humanity. And then on to Pakistan and Afghanistan. We went through this 3... So, yeah, from my research, right, I realized that Afghanistan, Iraq and Afghanistan, they weren't actually Islamic. They were colonized by Islamists, by Arabs. Iraq and Afghanistan were once pagan, like big pagan countries with their own culture. They had their own rich culture, or whatever their culture was. And they were basically colonized, and they were forcibly converted by Islam. And that's why Afghanistan and Iraq are Islamic today, but there are people who live in the mountains, up in the mountains. There are tribes that have their own old culture. And one of those tribes, especially in Iraq, they were the Yazidis, who have a mixture of different cultures and religions. And they're their own ethnicity, and they were called the Yazidi people, and they were the ones who ISIS went and murdered and killed and kidnapped and took as sex slaves from their tribe, right? And so like, people, they think like, oh, the Jews are colonizing Israel, while they completely ignore the fact that Islam colonized half of the world. Literally forcibly went into other countries and forcibly converted them, forcibly forced them to be under their law, under Sharia, and they completely crushed out any culture that they might have had from before. And that's how there are like 50 Islamic countries today. But oh, the Jews are colonizing, really. Israel has been Israel for 3,500 years. And we had the kingdom of Israel here, and then we were cast out, and we're just coming home to this tiny sliver of land, which you, the world, can't accept that we are God's chosen people, and this land was given to us by God himself. And it's a very small plot of land, so what the fuck? Like, why are you whining? You have the entire world, which you colonized, but oh, the Jews can't have a small country the size of the state of New Jersey. Oh, forbidden, asur, not allowed, haram, right? Ridiculous. You guys are ridiculous, right? So he's talking about the where he went the next day, right? And so he went through the 3 kilometers high mountain pass and descended to the city with 2 hexagonal minarets destroyed in an earthquake in 1902. Here is the magnificent dynasty's palace, partially carved into the ground. The Soviets took it over and destroyed it with artillery. Descending from the fortress, I had to rub my eyes. I've never seen anything like this anywhere in the world. The leveled layer of dust on the dirt road, which in Israel would be kurkur. I don't know what that is. It's a cluster of precious stones such as lapis lazuli, garnet, and tourmaline. Wow, so that's what it turned into? From there we continue to the victory over the occupiers museum, designed to impart a sense of pride and teach military history and resistance to occupation, when literally they are the occupiers. Islam is the occupying force. The Arabs, who were the first Islamic people, went to other countries and occupied it and colonized it. This is real history. The museum, established in 2013, is constructed for families to stroll among the remains of Russian and American armored vehicles. This was our last stop before returning to Kabul. Then they're asked questions. This is the Taliban instructions to Western tourists, right? So for the women, the local clothing, you need to wear hijab, a headscarf, and to be sure to wear modest clothing covering the buttocks, and avoid tight pants or exposing the chest, shoulders, back, or any other skin. Men, you need to wear loose clothing that covers your arms and legs. Avoid short clothing or clothing with provocative symbols. So you can't wear shorts. Conduct in mosques. Don't walk in front of a person praying. Walk beside or behind them. Well, if they bend down to pray with their butt up, you can kick them. But don't do that. They will kill you. Interaction with locals. Talk with students or young people who approach you. But do not disclose personal details such as your address, hotel, or travel plans. Social media details may be shared if you feel comfortable doing so. Drinking water. Only drink bottled water. Tap water in the hotel is only suitable for washing and rinsing your mouth. Right, it's the same in Mexico. So it's literally like, it's a third world country. Like, these other countries are third world. For instance, you have like, in America, mostly you can drink water from the tap. In Israel, it's the same. You can drink water from the tap. I took the water from the tap, I drink it. Right? Because it's clean water, it is, it's not contaminated. You can drink water from the tap. So this country is pretty much first world countries. High timetable, man. This is first world country, even though I think in a lot of ways this country is third world, but in certain aspects this country is third world. So, continuing on, right? Photography etiquette. Avoid photographing women without their permission. Ask for permission before photographing local women. Consult your guide regarding appropriate places for photography. Getting to the airport. Go through immigration to receive a visa. Complete the tourist registration procedure, filing out the form and attaching the passport photo. Finding your guide. Upon leaving the landing gate, turn left and walk 400 m. Look for a blank page with your name on it. Your guide will take you to the vehicle. Say hi and shake hands if you feel comfortable doing so. Women do not shake hands with men. Security. Tourist sites are regarded as safe. Cooperate with your guide in case of emergency and follow instructions. Be polite to the Taliban at crossing and checkpoints. Visa services to Afghanistan in Dubai. The visa issuing process involves meeting a representative at the hotel in Dubai, handing over your passport and paying $300 per person, $400 for U.S. citizens. The procedure lasts one morning and the passport will be returned to you by 2 o'clock. Arrange a flight from Dubai to Kabul for $700. Warning, Afghanistan is under extremist Islamic rule and has no diplomatic relations with Israel. Visiting Afghanistan is very dangerous, and this article does not endorse the public visiting of Afghanistan. Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there, you idiot. What's wrong with people? Right? Then there's this lady, right, who speaks about... There's a woman who's Syrian-born journalist, and she interviews Israelis about the war. And so she fled from Syria to the U.S., and she tells Ynet about her decision to interview Israelis after October 7. And the Arab media is biased against them, of course. The Arabs hate us because they're Islamic extremists. Like, what do you want? Like, you know, like, Islam isn't hates Jews, it's part of their religion. And anyone who says otherwise is lying, you know? And I think it's completely normal. Like, that's what to expect, you know, just whatever. Like, it's normal to hate Jews. That's part of their culture. You know? Wow, it's really miserable. Wait, so she is... This guy is the guy who plays in Fauda. He's the TV star who plays in the Israeli TV show called Fauda. And this is the family who was kidnapped to Gaza. The entire family. We don't know where she is. We don't know where her babies are. They literally kidnap babies. These terrorist garbage. Right? Wow, this is a long article. Not sure if I have the energy to read it. Then we have, YouTube, Jerusalem Post, right? So Amsterdam riot were not pogrom, mayor says. First she said it was, and now she's going back on her word. Trump's pro-Israel appointments, dream team, or tightrope for Jerusalem editorial. Right, so it's funny, because today I follow a guy on YouTube. His name is Yaron Brooks, and he doesn't like Trump at all whatsoever, right? But somehow I didn't have a problem listening to him and his views, because even though he's anti-Trump, I didn't feel that part of the reason why I was open to listening to what he had to say, even though he's anti-Trump and, you know, I like Trump, was because he is Jewish and he is pro-Israel, right? And, okay, whatever. There's nothing wrong with listening to differing opinions, because, first of all, I couldn't follow half of what he said. I didn't really understand when he was talking about, like, all this technical stuff, you know, when it comes to the economy and this and that and big government and blah, blah, blah. And another part of me was that I could listen to him because he's not hateful, even though he doesn't like Trump. And also because I think it's healthy to try to listen to different points of view. You know what I mean? Like, it's healthy, I think, because it'll make you a stronger person if you're able to listen to what others have to say and, like, be able to understand that, it's okay, you know, like, listening to what people have to say is fine. It's even healthy. Even if they don't disagree with you, you know, as long as they're not, like, hating on you, you know, like, and as long as it's not outright lies, you know, like, as long as it's not, like, propaganda, which is, like, outright lies. Like, they're trying to create a narrative which is false, based off of lies, right? That's what we call propaganda. So, Amsterdam riots were not, Hagram Meir says, defending Muslim population. Does she have a choice at this point? Europe is lost. Basically, this guy comes on my channel, and he comments on my channel. For instance, if we go to my channel here, and he comments on my channel, and he says something like, oh, here, on this one, right? He comments on my channel, and he says something like, you Jews are the worst. So I wrote there, like, oh, we're the worst. Yeah, I told him, you look like a white man, and Europe, you're probably from Europe, and your country's going down. It's completely lost to Islam. Soon they will marry your daughters, and you won't have a choice in the matter. And you know what he answered me? Well, they're better than Jews. So that, when he said that, it occurred to me that these people who hate Jews so much, they are willing to sacrifice their daughters, their sisters, and their mothers to Islam and to the Islamists, and they're willing to let whatever the Islamic people want to do with their families and with their daughters and with their sisters and their mothers and their family and their nieces and nephews. They're willing to sacrifice their families to Islam just for the sake of hating Jews. And that is why they're insane. These Jew haters are literally insane. They're brain dead. There's something wrong there. They've gone completely nuts. Nutso. Right? So, when they hate to that extent, like, there's no one to talk to. These people hate us for no reason other than who we are. Women killed, several wounded in following rocket strike in Shfarram, northern Israel. Wow. In addition, 10 individuals sustained light wounds from broken glass and were transferred for medical care. What? Safa Kat Awad, a resident of Shfarram in her 50s, was named as the individual killed in the Hezbollah rocket strike in Israel's north. Israel media reported. Magen David Edom said the victim was killed while in a safe room in a building in Shfarram. She was killed while she was in a safe room? That's supposed to be bomb-proof. Oh my god. She had been critically wounded, and paramedics who arrived on scene were forced to pronounce her dead. Some 10 individuals sustained light wounds from broken glass and were transferred for medical care. Rambam Healthcare Campus in Haifa said it was treating some 30 people who had been wounded to various degrees in the barrage, including a 41-year-old woman and a 4-year-old child in serious condition. Rocket barrage to north. The IDF said that Hezbollah had fired some 5 rockets at Israel following the sirens that blared in Tamra, Shfarram, and Kabul, among other places, starting at 6:27 p.m. This was today? Yeah, this was today. This was like an hour ago. Oh my god. Police said that following the barrage, several buildings in Shfarram had suffered a direct hit, adding that forces were operating to rescue people who had been trapped in buildings that sustained major damage. The paramedics, Hamza al-Hijab, recounted that he saw upon arriving at the scene. We arrived quickly at the scene and began searching a 4-story building. On the top floor, we found a female aged about 50 with a multi-system injury. She was unconscious with no pulse and not breathing, and we pronounced her dead at the scene. In the lower floors and in nearby buildings, we located about 10 mildly wounded casualties who walked out of the buildings and who were treated by the ambulance, right? All were evacuated in mild condition to the hospital. Tragically, a woman was killed after a rocket directly hit a residential building, United Hatzalah paramedics Rami Swad said. Additionally, we provided assistance at the scene to over 20 buildings residents in various conditions. Some were evacuated by United Hatzalah ambulances that arrived at the scene, he noted. Further stating that United Hatzalah medical staff was providing care to those who suffered from anxiety. So, oh my God. Somebody says here, 50 years from now, nobody in his or her mind will be able to understand how our leadership, having the means of merciless wrath at our disposal, agreed to such travesty of safety of so many of our citizens. Right, so just like allow, like the government is just allowing this to happen. Somehow. Killed while in a safe room in a building, since they will protect you from shrapnel only, not from direct hits. Wow, in Gaza and before the war started with Hez officially, the Israel Air Force made an effort to hit every launcher identified right after being used, immediately after the last rocket was launched. And I remember well the large preemptive strike against Hezbollah with hundreds of fighter jets at work. I wonder what happened to the strategy as of late. I don't see any announcements. The only explanation I have is that all of those launchers must be very close to our soldiers, and hence the Israel Air Force stays away from the retaliations in order to not cause losses from friendly fire. On the other hand, there are many strikes called in by our troops themselves. So that does not explain staying away completely from that strategy. So basically, why isn't the Israeli Air Force going every day into Lebanon and finding those posts where they're throwing rockets in and destroying it, like they did at some point? Like, why isn't that happening? Whatever, what can we do? What can we do? Amsterdam riots were not, Pogrom Mayor says, defending Muslim population because she has no choice, or they'll lynch her, right, like what they did to us. Netanyahu IDF at odds over how many Haredim it can absorb. Rockets in Israel's north, female combat soldiers enter Lebanon. Hochstein to visit Beirut as Lebanon positively views U.S. ceasefire push. IDF Wives Forum. Partners Reserve Service caused family emotional stress. Hear my brother's voice shouting breaks out at Knesset over refusal to play hostage recordings. Shin Bet chief flares at Netanyahu's home to be dealt with severely. I think, this guy, the people at the top in the Israeli system, right? The Shin Bet, the people who are at the top of the Shin Bet, the people who are at the top of the Mossad, the people who are at the top of the defense, they should all be fired after what happened to us on October 7th. They should all be fired. Like, Netanyahu should have fired every single one of them. And a lot of people think that Netanyahu has to go as well, but the thing is that what we're hearing is that a lot of these people at the top, like this chief of the Shin Bet, for example, this guy here, he had information about what Hamas was planning. They knew it was going to happen, yet on the day that it happened, they didn't wake up Netanyahu to report what was happening. They kept him in the dark. So this guy, for example, should be tried for treason for not telling Netanyahu what was happening, because he is the chief. You're not supposed to keep secrets and from the president, from the chief of the land, right? Like, Netanyahu's in charge. He's the boss. So I don't understand why Netanyahu didn't fire this guy straight away. Like, straight away. Every single person at the top that failed on October 7th should have been fired from day one. Fired and replaced. Because they are treasonous. They are traitors. They let Jews in the south die. And they knew what was going to happen, and they didn't stop it. And they didn't tell Netanyahu until like 15 hours later. The Houthis are what happens when the intel community appeases whoever. And I hear this from people who are on this JNS. They are on YouTube. They are JNS, right? Let's go see. JNS TV, right? For example, JNS. Who are these people, right? I have to type it in. JNS. this lady here, JNS TV, they speak about what happened and how the left in Israel, like the deep state, are trying to get Netanyahu removed and how they are pro-Arab and pro-Islam. And because of them, October 7th happened, right? And so there's like people who are on the right in Israel that they want, you know, they have different plans on how to fight the war. And they are people who will put Jews in Israel first over our enemies. And the left, on the other hand, they will suck up to the enemy and sacrifice the Jews in Israel for their own purposes. We don't know. Deep, like here she says, deep state targets Bibi, right? She's very good. You should go listen to this lady. What else we have? October 7th and the war in Gaza severely impact Israel's youth at risk. Clubs mingle Jewish matchmakers across borders. Really? Okay, Canada foils Iranian plot to assassinate pro-Israel human rights lawyer. High Court... What? High Court suggests compromise, extending priority daycare for 3. Okay, let's go see. Why do I hear like airplanes in the sky? I hear airplanes flying. I hear lots of noise rumbling in the sky. Okay, let's see Allgemeiner. Okay, so Netanyahu confirms that they hit Iranian's nuclear program, a component of it. Why does Bernie Sanders feed anti-Semitic stereotypes? Let's go see that. So here's a Ocasio Cortez with Bernie Sanders, right? I don't want to read that. I don't want to read it. No, thank you. Palestinian rapper twice applauds Amsterdam pogrom violence against Israeli soccer fans. He can go fuck himself and jump off a cliff, as far as I'm concerned. Tufts University suspends students for justice in Palestine until 2027. Very nice. I think because Trump is getting in. And so, because Trump is getting in, and he's going to take office soon, God willing, right? Because of him, he's creating change. And things are changing without him even being in office. That's how much influence Donald Trump has. And it's so interesting because yesterday, or was it today, I made a video on Candace Owens, for example, how she is trying so hard. It's like so obvious. Scared me. Drops in my eyes because my eyes are red. She's trying so hard to suck up to Trump. The game is over for Candace, you know? Like, even if she tries to get into the White House, you know, to get cozy up to the Trumps, you know, like, Candace Owens, she's somebody who will just go whichever way the wind blows. That's where she'll go. Whichever way the wind blows, that's where Candace Owens will go. That's where you'll find her. Do you know what I'm saying? Whichever way the wind blows. If the wind blows this way, she'll go that way. When the wind blows that way, that's where she'll go. She has no stamina. She has no backbone. She has no opinions. For example, like, after High Court Monk of Magnesia. As I type, we are on verge of a nuclear war thanks to the Biden administration. Exactly. Look what is happening with Ukraine as well as what is happening in Korea. Exactly. But hopefully with Trump getting in office, things will get better. That's my doggy. It's my raspberry. My raspberry. My raspberry's so cute. She's doggies and she's barking like a dog. Because the raspberry's the dogging, the barks is the like a dog. So, this thing with Candace Owens, right? I showed a video of her. I can show you again. Where it's so cringy. She tries so hard to suck up to, Trump. This is for Candace Owens and her. Okay, so I made a video which I posted. I'll show you this. Where's the video? I want her video. Download. Here's her video where she sucks up so bad.
Listen, Melania Trump.
She tries so hard to suck up to the Trumps. But the problem with Candace Owens is that she's basically, she's once been pro-Israel, right? Before she, like, went off, she was on Daily Wire, she was pro-Israel, she was pro-Jews, because she had a job with the Jews, and it was normal to be pro-Israel, so then she was pro-Israel. But then as soon as the wind blew in a different direction, and as soon as the entire world turned on the Jewish nation, as soon as that happened, as soon as the entire left went nuts on the Jews, as soon as they started calling us genocide, as soon as they started accusing us of all different kinds of crimes, that's the way the wind was blowing. The entire world was against us. And as soon as that happened, she also went in that direction. Because she's a grifter. A lot of people are saying about Candace Owens is that she's a grifter. She will do whatever it takes to stay as relevant, and it doesn't matter what it is. She will just do what it takes to please her audience, right? So if it's Nazis that she has to please, that's the way she'll go. If it's in to be conservative, right, and to be pro-Israel and everything, that's the way she'll go. So she'll just go with where the wind blows. That's the way she'll go. And now, like, she went DEFCON 2 on Jews. She went totally Nazi on us. She accused us of blood libels, of drinking Christian blood. She accused us of killing Christians. She accused Israel of genocide in Gaza. She accused Jews of being like Frankists that drink Christian blood and put it in our matzah. She even went as far as to go against the holy rabbi of the Jews named Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson and accuse him of being a Jewish supremacist. And because of that, that is why she has lost complete relevance, and she will never be powerful. She will never be in the president's. She will never be in office. She will never be a president. She will never be, like, now she's trying so hard to get her foot into the Trump door. The problem is that Trump saw through her on day one. Like, she said something against him and he completely ostracized her. Now she is sucking up to Melania Trump, and it's gross. It's disgusting. The way she's, like, if it's not obvious to you that this is what she's trying to do in order to get into the White House, then I don't know where you are at, because she's pathetic. And regardless of the fact that Trump's grandchildren are Jewish, and regardless of the fact that this rabbi that she accused of being a Jewish supremacist, Trump went to his gravesite to pray. And so, like, she's trying to gain relevance by trashing the Jewish people, holiest rabbi that we respect and love, and we go to his grave to pray and to ask for his blessings. And Trump honored the Jewish people, and he himself went to ask for the Rebbe's, for his blessings at his grave, this holy rabbi that she accused of being a Jewish supremacist. And so, regardless of the fact that Trump's grandchildren are Jewish, she fucks with the Jews, and because she was weak, and she went with whichever way the wind blew, that's where she flew. Whichever way the wind blew, that's where she flew. Exactly. So you say Candace used to be Ben Shapiro's pet monkey. Exactly. She will just do and say whichever way benefits her, right? It takes some people over to see the evil. Oh, okay, so you're a Jew hater or Nazi. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, we are the terrorist state when we are like a sliver, and the Muslims have colonized the entire region, and they literally inflict terror on their own people, but we're the terrorists. Listen, can't fix stupid, right? Hi, Mr. Jones. So, watch Candace Owens suck up to Trump with the, she's sucking up she's trying so hard to get her foot in the door, and it's so funny because she will soon be completely irrelevant, as she is, because you see Trump and his wife, they see through her. Like, she's a grifter, she's a loser, she's a faker, she is somebody who can't be trusted, she is faithless. Hi Splash Buzz, did you see what Candace said about drinking alcohol? She said alcohol makes the demons take over. She's nuts, yeah. Candace isn't very bright. And like I said, I do think she's anti-Semitic, but I also think that she's more likely to stay in line where it's acceptable. So wherever the wind blows, whichever way the wind blows, that's where she'll fly. That's where she'll fly, that's where she'll flow. Whichever way the wind blows, that's the way she'll flow, right? Watch her suck up to Melania.
I think she is like a secret weapon in the White House. Truly, I hope that she is always the one that's in Trump's ear, because she has very good instincts about people.
Including you, Candace. You'll never get into the White House. Like,
she's just cool in a way. Like, she just is very cool and very reserved. And
not like you. You're not reserved. You're not cool. You have no class. You went DEFCON 2 on Israel and Jews. You went completely anti-Zionist, anti-Jew, just like Stalin and Hitler. And, you know, like, anybody who's anti-Zionist and anti-Israel, they're just like Stalin and Hitler, because they were also anti-Zionist. You have one in common. And you accused Trump. You accused the Jewish rabbi, Menachem Mendel Schneerson, of being a Jewish supremacist. You trashed him. And Trump went to his gravesite to ask him, because he's a very holy rabbi. And Trump went to his gravesite to ask for his blessing, and that's why he got into office, because he honored the Jewish people. And he's surrounding himself with Jew lovers, Jewphilic people, who love Israel, who love Jews. He's surrounding himself with Jews. And you lost out because you showed who you really are. You can't be trusted, regardless of whether you believe Jews are evil or not. You have shown yourself to be somebody who just goes with the flow. The wind blows this way, that's the way it'll go. Because you probably have it in you to hate Jews, but more than anything, you're a grifter. Like a lot of people have said about you, you are somebody who is, it's all about the money for you. It's about relevance, it's about fame, and it's about money. You'll do whatever it takes. You'll be like, even Nick Fuentes, who is the Nazi, even he is calling you out for not being not being Nazi enough, right? And he was saying that, he's like, come on, Candace, come on. We all know you hate Jews. Just come out and say it. You're one of us. You're Nazi, but you're black, so make that make sense. Do you know what I'm saying? I never heard of Candace Owens until now. I just subscribed to your channel. Oh, very sweet. Monk off Magnesia. Yeah, she's a attention whore. A lot of people respect her. Even a lot of the right, they still like her. They still include her wherever, but Trump will never ever trust her, because his grandchildren are Jewish. He's surrounding himself with people who love Israel and Jews, and who are even more loving to Israel than Jewish people themselves. For example, like I think it's Marco Rubio, or one of those guys who is pro-Israel, and he says things like, we're not going to call the West Bank, we're going to call it Judea and Samaria, and we're not going to call it occupied. They can't occupy their own land. This is the ancestral homeland of Israel, and he's going to want to make Israel annex the West Bank. And there are a lot of Jews who don't love themselves and love their own country, and they are even traitors to their own country and to their own people, and they are not even comfortable with this whole entire attitude of Jewphilia and being proud of where they come from, and being proud of being from Judea and Samaria and living in this homeland, and they're not even proud to be Jewish, right? And he is more proud for us, right? So Candace has fucked it up for herself. Like, literally, she fucked it up for herself, because, you know, and this is a very harsh reminder for those who think that, you know, for those who think that, you know, like, things will work out for you if you don't have any morals and you just do what it takes to stay relevant and to hate on people, you know? Like, you think it's okay to stand with terrorists who genocided a extinct nation, right? The Islamic jihadis came on October 7th, and they tried to make us extinct, right? And so she was okay with that, and she started to accuse us of all different kind of libels and lie about us and everything. And then she accused a rabbi of being a Jewish supremacist. And then she went on to... She went full Nazi on us, right? And even Nick Fuentes said that about her. So, for example, if we're going to go look up Nick Fuentes... What is this? Nick Fuentes on Candace. Nick Fuentes. Fuentes on Candace Owens. Let's see what he says. Nick Fuentes home. Let's see video. Right? What's this? What's this?
Let's
see.
Two completely different directions.
It is an interesting question. As I said, I think that tension has always been there, and the reason Trump has...
Candace versus Nick Sneeko anti-Semite war. I have to find it, okay. Nick Fuentes is a Jew hater to his core. Oh, he says Candace Owens is a Jew hater. Okay, let's go see that.
It filth. She just tweets out. She tweets out a picture of Shmuley and just says filth. I love it. I love that. I'm all over that. Now I'm finally understanding.
Nazi.
You know,
this guy is a Nazi in chief, and he hates Jews, and he's pointing out that Candace Owens is obviously a Nazi.
there's this culture around like Nicki Minaj, of like
he's so scrawny and gross.
Like women and gay guys that are like, oh my gosh, Nicki Minaj, like, you know,
he has double jointed creepy fingers.
Oh, their stands or whatever on Nicki Minaj and Cardi B. I always hated that shit.
This guy needs to work out a little bit and start eating healthy and get off of whatever he's on, because...
But now seeing Candace Owens tweet Rabbi Shmuley and say filth. I'm like, when's her concert? I want to buy tickets. I want to be like all those people that go to the Taylor Swift Eras concert and they're like, Taylor, I love it. I want to get the fucking concert t-shirt. Sign me up for the next Candace Owens event, because I'm like, me saying this is probably really bad for her, by the way. I probably should be keeping this to myself, but I have to stand of sex toys, and she just captions it filth.
Okay, so he's a Nazi, right? He hates Jews. He's everywhere peddling Jew hatred everywhere, right? And right, so Rabbi Shmuley B'Teach, they had a feud, her and Candace had a feud, but he says now keeping company with arch anti-Semite Nick Fuentes. Candace is a Jew hater to her core, as even Nick Fuentes confirms. But what a tragedy to see Ben Shapiro and Dennis Prager dragged into the filth of anti-Semitism. Yeah, so, like, even the Nazis are pointing out that she's just another bigot, and she's one of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's one of them. So... he's a very childish man. He doesn't look like a very healthy individual. He looks sick, and he does look like he needs I have to say this again, he needs Jesus.
Very classy, and she is not going to be in your face like, oh hi, like, I love you, you're so great. It's not going to happen. She doesn't have the fakeness in her. She suffers
just like you, Candace,
from realness, just from being so
exactly unlike you.
So real. The press hates her. She's got to suffer for it, okay? First lady is supposed to be hosting the to-be first lady, and they're supposed to have tea, and they take a cheesy little picture, and it's like, oh, we love each other,
Listen, Candace, I understand you're trying to get your foot into the door of Trump administration, but that ship has sailed. Trump has saw through you. His wife doesn't like you. Nobody wants to associate yourself with you. Nobody who is an upstanding individual that actually cares for good and knows good from evil and actually cares for morality will want to associate themselves with you now, since you've gone down the path of Jew hatred and Nazism. Even though you're black, make that make sense, because we all know what the Nazis thought of Jews, blacks, gypsies, anybody who wasn't of the superior Aryan race. right?
Obviously, they don't love each other at all, particularly in a circumstance like today. And this is the exact quotation that they gave them. They just said, "She ain't going." She ain't going. Jill Biden is not someone Melania needs to meet, the source added. I mean, where is the gangster music?
Try harder to suck up to Melania. It's not going to get you in the door, Candace. That ship has sailed a long time ago since you trashed the Holy Lubavitcher Rebbe and called him all different kinds of disparaging names and disrespected the Jewish nation as a whole. Since you shit on Donald Trump's grandchildren who happen to be Jewish. And since you shit on Israel, right? And now Donald Trump is surrounding himself with all these Jew lovers and Israel lovers, and you lost out, bitch. Next time, this should be a lesson. This should be a lesson to the Jew haters and to anybody who listen, if you're a Jew hater, don't switch up on it. You know what I'm saying? You hate Jews, be a Jew hater. That's what you stand for. Have some backbone. You know what I'm saying? Don't expect for us to like you, right? But at least you have you believe in something. Jew hating, right? Which is, it's immoral and you're cursed because of that. But still, like someone like Kamala Harris lost the election because she didn't have a backbone. If she would have gone full DEFCON 2 on Jews and Israel, if she wouldn't have spoken out of two sides of her mouth, she could have won. A large portion, because she would have appeared strong, and a large portion of Nazis would come out, and even those who don't care much for Jews, they would come and vote for her, right? Because she stands for something, whether it's evil, so she stands for evil. People can respect that, right? But if you're somebody who's just like, goes wherever the wind blows, you're not a genuine person, right? Mr. Jones loves Michael Savage. Mr. Jones, yeah. Goes Zions and borderline culture, exactly. I mean to that, right? I'm not racist towards anybody, right? I'm just saying, I'm pointing out a serious fact that black people don't like us. They don't like the Jewish nation, and they attack their Jewish neighbors all the time, and they hate us. And the black people happen to be pro-Palestine, so they're not our friend. And it's ironic because we literally stood with them in the civil rights movement, right? We're fighting side by side. We stood with the black community when we fought for their civil rights, and we fought against segregation and everything. Martin Luther King liked us, but most of the black community, they are pro-Palestine. They love the Muslims. They love Islam, and they stand against Israel. And a lot of them are Christian, and they hate us even more for it. So, that's who they are. That's who they stand with. It's very sad because I did like Candace Owens. A lot of Jewish people, they really liked Candace Owens. They thought oh, she's somebody who, she's an upright individual and she has morals and everything. And then she went nuts on us. And then, all these people I know that are Jewish, they're like, what happened to her? Why'd she go crazy? Why? Do you know what I'm saying? I had the backwards to choose. The selections are picked by APAC. So are you a little Nazi too? You're a little Nazi? You little Nazi? Yeah? Oh, you're a little Nazi. Aw. Anyway, listen, APAC is wonderful, so suck it up. Suck it up. So, listen, that's who you are. That's who you Nazis are. You're people who, the wind blows and that's where you flow. You have no backbone, right? All you can do is come on a Jewish person's channel and start throwing bullshit out on my channel and commenting all these nonsense on my channel because you're so brave to come on a Jewish person's channel and trash me to my face through your keyboard, right? That's how brave you are. You're a bunch of cowards. And, if you really believe in what you preach, go to the Taliban, go to Afghanistan, go to the Taliban and become one of them. How about that? And this is what happens, right? This is what happens when people like Candace Owens, they trash Jews. They thought that it's basically what Candace Owens did was after October 7, right? We were down. We were really down. The entire nation took a blow. The Jewish nation all over the world took a hard blow. 1,200 Jews murdered in one day in the most gruesome fashion, in the most barbaric way by these terrorists and these Islamic jihadi terrorists. They raped us, they murdered us, they tortured mothers in front of their children and vice versa. And then there was a wave of anti-Semitism, of Jew haters that came out even before we went into Gaza to fight the war with the terrorists, Hamas. A bunch of Jew haters came out and were storming the streets, and they started to scream genocide when there was no war. We didn't even enter Gaza yet. And while we were at our worst point, while we were down, while we were kicked down, while we were being used and abused and killed, and the Jews were so sad and shocked and traumatized by what happened on October 7th, she chose that time. She decided that was a good time to spit on us and to push us down even more. That was her time to literally crush us, to add insult to injury, and to push us down when we were already down. That's what her choice was. That's what she decided to do after October 7th, when we were traumatized and when the entire world is against us. Like, you see this lady, Mamas, on my channel saying all this Jew hatred. Creeps of YouTube are on my channel. He's a real creep, coming and Nazi, right? You see all these people on my channel that are just haters, saying the worst things to Jewish people, calling us every type of name, and lying to my face about what they think me as a Jew is, what I do, what my people do, calling us killers, calling our kids, calling my nieces and nephews murderers. They're calling Jewish children that have nothing to do with anything murderers, right? You see who these nasty people are. They are literally like, they come on a Jewish person's channel after we've been murdered, raped, and killed, and mutilated, and the worst atrocities happened to us by these terrorists. And they decide to add insult to injury and to push us down even more because they're bloodthirsty and they have an immorality. You see, like, they're very immoral. They hate Jews because they are evil and they are demonic and they stand with evil. And they stand with the terrorists, not understanding that those terrorists will kill you as well if you are a Christian, right? So, right, and then you come out and say, oh yeah, we're not allowed to criticize the Jews. Literally the entire internet is blown up of Jew haters mocking us at our pain and saying the worst kind of things to us, like go to the gas chambers, go back to Europe, die Jew, right? Oh, but you're not allowed to criticize Jews, right? That's why you come on my channel and you come and say the worst things to my face. So, Splashbot says, creeps of YouTube, you also wouldn't have a polio vaccine, computer technology, cell phones. Yeah, but never mind that we gave them everything. Never mind that, right? Never mind that we gave them their civilization. We gave everything to them. They have the audacity to come and shit on us. And Candace Owens, she decided to crush us down, and when at our worst moments, instead of showing empathy and saying they're sorry for what we've been through and standing with us and saying they support us and that they love us and say that what happened to us wasn't okay and saying that the terrorists were bad for doing that, and instead of standing with us in our time of need, she crushed us down further into the deepest depths of despair. And that is why she will never ever have any power. And that is why Kamala Harris lost the election, because she was standing with evil, with the pro-terrorism. And that's why Candace Owens will never step foot into the White House, because she is as relevant and as people trust her now like they trust the flat earthers, right? People who are part of the flat earth society, right? They are the ones who basically, they believe the earth is flat. So they're anti-science, they're anti-facts, they're anti-truth. She is one of those. And it's of her doing. No one can trust anything she says. And I said that about her, and then suddenly I see that she's interviewing flat earther people that believe in the flat earth. Because she wants to hear more about it. Okay, go talk about it. But now you've just, you basically confirmed my suspicion that you are a flat earther who doesn't believe in science, which is logic, reason, and everything else, right? So, yeah, Jews, you can try to take claim for all that we created. You could try to take credit, but we created most of the medical advances that you have today, such as the cataract eye surgery, the heart pacemaker, the everything, cancer research. We are the pioneers. But okay, denied, lie, deny. But one day you might need our expertise, and you'll come groveling at our feet, and we'll be gracious and we'll help you. Even if you're a Nazi, it's okay. Do you know what I'm saying? So you come to my face and you start saying all the worst, disgusting lies to my face, lying about my people, lying about me, lying about my family. And when I speak out against it, suddenly you have this manipulative response to say that, oh, now you're crying anti-Semitism, when literally that's all you're doing is being anti-Semitic on my channel. And when I point it out, you get upset. You know, like, but let this be an example for you where your life will go by watching Candace Owens slide down into the abyss where no one will ever know anything or hear from her again because she's irrelevant. She tries so hard to suck up to Melania. The ship has sailed, Candace. It's over. It's over, Candace. It's over. It's over. Yeah, so this mama lady is, she's talking out of her ass. Do you understand? She is talking out of her ass. You need Jesus. You need Jesus. Yo, mama, you need Jesus. You are godless. You need Jesus. Because if you had Jesus, maybe you wouldn't hate Jews, because Jesus was a Jew. You need Jesus. Anyway, on to another subject, right? Trump's pro-Israel appointments, dream team, or tightrope for Jerusalem. The appointments have been hailed by Israel advocates. Right, so how do we get to Candace Owens? How do we get on that subject, right? Because now Trump is basically surrounding himself with Jew lovers, which is beautiful. It's a treat after what happened on October 7 to us. Literally, after what's happened to us on October 7, right? You know, the entire world, like these Jew haters that come on my channel, like Yo Mama that needs Jesus, you know, basically we gave the Christians our culture, we gave Jesus, we gave the Christians Jesus, we gave you the Ten Commandments, we gave you the New Testament because the New Testament was written by Jews, Paul and Peter. But that doesn't matter because they don't believe in science because they're like Candace Owens, which is fine. That's fine. So, yeah, your anti-Semitic New Testament, which was written by self-hating Jews, which is totally fine also, right? Imagine thinking Jesus would support what you're saying about Jesus. Exactly. It's like she's trashing Jesus' people, but it doesn't matter. That's how they think. You know, like, it's fine. The facts are that there are Christians who are evangelicals, who are actually pro-Israel. They love Jews. I don't understand why, because the New Testament is full of Jew hatred. Like, this woman herself comes here and says, he calls Jews out, LOL, the Pharisees, right? It's an anti-Semitic book. So I don't understand how they like Jews, because their book is not pro-Jews, right? The book is written by self-hating Jews who are traitors to the Jews and cause trouble for the Jews, and that's why you have Christians, so-called Christians, that come on my channel and trash us. As you can see what she's saying. Do you know what I'm saying? Oh, the Arabs are the real Semites. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Semantics, petty, picking. Get a life, right? So, right? So now Trump is surrounding himself by evangelical Christians who are pro-Israel. And for the Jew hater, it's very sad. They're watching, their world is crumbling because they see Trump has gone full-on Jew-loving. His grandkids are Jews. And so what's going to happen, right? Good stuff. The appointments have been hailed by Israel advocates, especially those on the right, as comprising a dream team for both the United States and the Jewish state. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump chose strong supporters of Israel in a series of appointments announced last week. They include Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense, Mike Huckabee as Ambassador to Israel, Representative Elise Stefanik as Ambassador to the UN, Steve Witkoff as Special Envoy to the Middle East, Mike Waltz as National Security Advisor, Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence, Lee Zeldin to head the EPA, and Elon Musk to head a new Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Although the appointments have been hailed by Israeli advocates, especially those on the right, as comprising a dream team for both the United States and the Jew state, the Israeli government must brace itself for a future in which the new Trump administration could be warm and supportive, but also tight and tough. That was also my worry about Trump, was because sometimes if you don't live in Israel and you don't know, you don't really understand what's going on here, and you get bad advice from somebody, then what can happen is that Trump can develop a philosophy on what he thinks is best for Israel. Oh, he wants to make a deal with these terrorists or whatever. And we see, because we are the experts in the military, we see that strategically it's not a right thing. My question is, I hope that the Israelis would be strong enough to stand up to Trump and be like, hey, that deal doesn't suit us. You know what I mean? Like, that deal does not suit us. Right? So let's hope that, we work well together with the Trump administration, even though I'm sure there's going to be things that will be good and bad, right? So, whatever. Again, this lady, Yo Mama, she keeps bringing up the same, they all, they repeat the same exact talking points. You're the fake Jews. Oh, the black Israelites are the real Jews, blah, 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 blah. I've addressed her points like a trillion times in my previous videos, so I'm not going to respond to it, right? It's just looking for attention. Provoking, looking for attention. So, on with the story, right? Ultimately, the administration will act in accordance with American interests, right? So, of course, right, they will act within the American interests. So I hope that we will have Israelis who will be in our administration that will be strong enough to stand up to the Trump administration and be like, hey, that doesn't suit us. It doesn't work for us. Like, you want us to make peace with Lebanon when literally, like a ceasefire, when literally they don't want a ceasefire. And if we make a ceasefire, they'll break the ceasefire and they'll continue throwing rockets in, and we can't return our people who are refugees within Israel to their homes in the north, right? So let's just hope that there's common sense on both sides, right? Ultimately, the administration will act in accordance with American interests, not Israel's, and it might be more difficult for Israel to turn down Trump's Republican team than the Democratic administration of President Joe Biden, right? So that's another thing, which would have been a benefit to Israel in a way if the Kamala Harris administration would have gotten in, is because nobody respects her or the Kamala administration. And Israel would do whatever they think they need to do regardless, because no one respects her. And even Putin wanted her to get into office. He endorsed Kamala Harris. And I did a tarot reading on my other channel, and I believe that Bibi Netanyahu, he also preferred Kamala, because a lot of people think that they could have manipulated her, pushed her around, which they probably could have, but one thing that people didn't understand about Kamala was that she is evil in many ways, and she could have done a lot of damage if she would have gotten in, right? So, let's continue on. Another false claim that Yo Mama is trying the hardest to get attention and make claims. Oh, Israelis are getting skin cancer, blah, blah, blah. Everybody gets skin cancer. In America, skin cancer, there's melanoma, there is all different kinds of skin cancers. Regardless, it's about the food you eat. It's nothing to do with the sun. But, oh, they're the Jews, blah, blah, blah. Get a life. Get a life, get a life. Let's start with a clear message. Trump himself has conveyed before his inauguration on January 20, Israel must end the current war, which was launched against Hamas in Gaza after the October 7, 2023 atrocity, but has now expanded to at least 6 more fronts: Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, terrorist groups in Iraq, Syria, and the West Bank, and of course Iran. So we're basically fighting here in Israel on 7 fronts. Literally. We're fighting on 7 fronts. We're in the West Bank here in Judea and Samaria where I live. We're fighting in Syria, against Syria and Iraq. We're fighting against the Houthis in Yemen. We're fighting against Iran. We're fighting against Gaza. And we're fighting against Lebanon, because they're all trying to kill us. And they're all proxies of each other. So, our hands are full. Do you know what I'm saying? And that just goes to show on our superiority as an army, as a nation, as a people. And so, yeah. You know, it's so interesting that people like Yo Mama, this idiot, right? People like this Yo Mama idiot, they don't get it that Jews living in other countries, they weren't considered part of other countries. We were considered strangers in other countries. Why is that? Why is it that when my father lived in Ukraine, in the former USSR, why is it that he was called Ivre, which means Hebrew, which means Jew? Why was he called that in Soviet Russia? Why was he called an Israelite in Soviet Russia? Why wasn't he just called Russian? Why were Jews, wherever they went, they weren't considered part of the land where they inhabited, right? Why is it that we didn't have any home? We lived in different countries. We were kicked out, and we weren't considered part of the country. Why is that, right? The question arises, right? So, where do we belong? Where do we come from, right? If we were in every country and we got kicked out for some accusation or other, and if we were considered a stranger in your lands, where the fuck do we come from? Where? Where do we come from? If my father is called Ivre in Soviet Russia, where do we come from? In Ukraine, my father was called a Jew, and he was considered not part of the Russian society. Where did we come from? Right? Right. Where did we come from? We were not considered part of your countries. We were kicked out of your countries, right? Where did we come from? It's a very simple question. I want an answer. Where did we come from? If we were not part of your land, not part of your culture, we were strangers in your countries, you kicked us out, where do we come from? No, my father was a Jew in Ukraine. Ukraine was part of the former Soviet Union, and Ukrainians, before the Soviets took over Ukraine, the Ukrainians, they attacked the Jews. They did pogroms on the Jewish people in Ukraine of 1919. They attacked them and they mercilessly killed them and murdered them. Why did they do that, right? If we're part of their culture, why did they do that, right? Why did they do that? Don't bring up nonsense. Tell me, why did we get kicked out? Why were the Jews butchered in Ukraine in the 1919 pogrom, right? Why were the Jews in Russia called Ivre in Tsar Russia? Why? Why were the Jews known as Yehudi, in Tsarist Russia? Why did the Tsar kidnap Jewish kids and try to Russify them and to knock the Jew out of the children? Why? Why? Why is it that the Tsar of Russia kidnapped Jewish kids, put them in their army, and tried to knock out any memory of them being Jewish? Why? You can't answer. You can't answer. You say, oh, we come from Russia. No, we were never considered part of the Russians. We were known as Ivre. Why? This is facts, right? Regardless of what you think, all Russian oligarchs are Jews, blah, blah, blah. They were never, ever considered part of the Russian society. The Jews were never part of Ukrainian society. The Jews in Arab countries were called Yahud. Why? You can't give me a proper answer. You can't give me an answer. I'll tell you why. It's very simple. Because we are Jews. We are called Yahuds. We are called Ivre because we are ancient Israelites. We are called Yahuds because we come from the land of Judea, which is Israel. The land I live in now, and the city I live in now, the country I live in now, which is called Judea and Samaria. That's where we come from. We are ethnic to this country. And the reason why you couldn't answer that is because you know it's the truth. You know it's the truth. And you try to bring up all this other stuff. Oh, yeah, all the Russian oligarchs are Jews. Russian Jews living in Ukraine and in Russia were considered Ashkenazi Jews. They were never considered Russian on their passport. Why is that? Why? Right? Why did Stalin go after the Jews in Russia and try to put them in camps? Why? He never managed to, but that was his plan. Why? Why? Right? Why did he go after the Jews? Wherever they were, whether they were, whatever story you want to paint, whatever story you want to make up, whatever story you want to paint, why did Stalin want to kill the Jews? Why did he round lots of them? Why did he go after all the Russian doctors who were Jewish and kill them? Why? Why were Jews kicked out of 100, like you say, it's not the truth, 109, but why do you say the Jews were kicked out of 109 countries? Why? No, Stalin wanted to kill the Jews. He had a group of Jewish doctors which he wanted to murder. He wanted to kill them because they're Jewish, because he didn't trust the Jews. Why were the Russian Soviets, who were part of the Russian government, called infidel? Why? You can't answer it. You just simply can't answer it. Why are the Jews in Middle Eastern country, in Arab countries, called Yahud? Why did the Arabs call us Yahuds? You see, you can't answer it. I'm asking you, and you keep giving all these stupid comments which make no sense. I'll tell you why. It's because we come from Judea. The word Jew comes from the land of Judea. We became known as Jews because we come from Yehuda. We come from Yehuda and Samaria and Shomron. So we come from Judea. That's why we're called Yehudi. Why did Hitler wanted to kill all the Jews? Right? Whatever. Hitler managed to kill like 5 million Slavs and his own people. He killed homosexuals. He killed the ones that were considered invalids. That's part of real history. And Hitler hated the Soviets, even though him and Stalin had an agreement, actually. Him and Stalin had an agreement, a peace agreement, and then Hitler didn't honor that, and that's why Russia had to go to war with Hitler. So why are Jews that you consider fake Jews, why are we kicked out of your land? He was against Slavs. He was against anybody who was not of the white Aryan race. So why? You see, you can't answer it. You can't answer it. I asked a simple question. Why did the Polish people round us up and throw us into gas chambers? Why are we called Jews? Why are we called Jews? I'm the one who's uneducated. You didn't even know that Stalin had a peace agreement with Hitler, which Hitler broke, right? Slavs are not Jews. Hitler didn't like the Slavs. He killed like 6 million of them, or less. He killed anybody that wasn't like him. So, why? Of course you can't answer it, because you know the truth. It's very fun to talk to people like you who can't admit. You can't admit it. You can't admit the fact that Jews... Why are we kicked out of your countries? Why? Why were we told to go back to Israel? Why did the Russians, who are anti-Semites, tell the Jews, their Jewish neighbors, to go to Israel? Right? Why? Because you know in your heart. You know in your heart. Of course which dictator didn't pass anti-Semitic laws? Which dictator didn't? Stalin wanted to kill all the Jews. What, are you kidding me? Stalin wanted to kill all the Jews. He was planning to put Jews in camps and slaughter them, just like Hitler. But he didn't manage to because he died. He died in his vomit, in his shit. No, why were we kicked out of the countries, your countries? We were kicked out. Regardless of what behaviors we had, which we all know you're lying, but that's fine. Why were we kicked out of your countries? Why were we not considered one of you? Why were we called Jews, and why were we kicked out? Yeah, so why did they kick us out of your country? This is your countries. You kicked us out, so where do we come from? Even if the Jews were overrepresented in the Soviet Commission, or whatever you say, right? Even if we were overrepresented in the Soviets and the Bolshevik Revolution, why were we kicked out of every country? Why were the Jews who were under the Soviets in Russia, where my father lived, why was he called the Ivre, even though his grandfather was part of the Russian Revolution and he was a communist? Why? Why was his father, who was even part of the Russian Communist Revolution, who was in the government, in the Soviet government, why was he called Ivre? Why? And why did all the Jews escape Russia to Israel in the 1970s? Why? Right? Lenin was not Jewish, but you will like to revise history. I can't help you with that. So why? Why did you kick us out of your countries? These are your countries. Russia, not a Jewish country. Ukraine, not a Jewish country. Italy, not a Jewish country. Spain, not a Jewish country. Iraq, not a Jewish country. Iran, not a Jewish country. All these countries, not Jewish. Mexico, not Jewish. Why did you kick us out? Why are we not considered one of you? Why are we not considered one of you? Answer the damn question. I'll tell you why. Because you can't answer. You can't answer. The Soviets hate Israel. The Soviets are anti-Zionist. What are you talking about? Right? As soon as Stalin got in, he became anti-Zionist. And he went after all the Jews in the government and he killed them all. But that facts don't matter for you. Right? Why is it that Stalin hated the Jews and he was anti-Zionist? Why is it that you all kicked us out? I'll tell you why. It's very simple. Because we're not one of you. We don't come from your countries. We come from this country where I'm sitting in. Judea and Samaria. Thus the name Jew. And it's very hard for you to acknowledge that because then it fucks up your whole narrative about, oh, pro-Palestine, the Palestinians. The Palestinians are indigenous to Israel. No, dumb fuck. The Jews are indigenous to this country. The Jews, we live here. This is our country. This is where we're from, regardless of any cheshbainis, any subtractions and excuses you want to make. This is where we're from. This is where we're from. You have no other answers. We have no home. So where did the Jews, the fake Jews, okay, we're fake Jews. Okay, let's give it to you. I'm fake. We're not the real Jews. We're not the real Israelites. Where the fuck do we come from? The fake Jews were kicked out of every land. Where the fuck are we come from? You guys, you're stupid. You're stupid. It's very hard, you know? It's very hard for the Jew here to admit it. I'm enjoying this. I'm so enjoying this because I'm enjoying this conversation because it's so good when I see like dumb people who can't admit, you know. George Soros is a Jew. He's a very bad Jew. There are Jews who are traitors to the Jewish nation, such as George Soros, who he literally went with the Nazis. His father was very rich. He bought off a Nazi, and he went with the Nazis to kill Jews. And he went with the Nazis to go and steal their homes, kick Jews out of their homes. He's a bad Jew. He worked with the Nazis. So he's one of them, right? So what? He's a traitor. He's not one of us. We don't claim him. But where are we from? Right? Where are we from? There are always going to be traitors in every culture. There's going to be traitors. We have them. They're bad people and they side with evil with you, right? But where did the Jews come from? Even those globalist Jews who are evil, where do we come from? We come from everywhere. Oh, okay, so now we're globalists. We come from every country. We get thrown out of your country, but yet we come from every country. So we're homeless. We don't have any home. And we're not part of your nation. We're not part of your culture. We're not part of your people. And so we're satanic. Oh, okay. So we're Satan. We're demons. So we're not even human. We don't even come from any of your countries. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that answer. Finally. Finally. See? I just played you at your own logic, and you can handle it. Because you know the truth in your heart. You know where we come from. Jews come from Judea. from the land of Israel. Oh. From the ancient homeland. We are the ancient Israelites. We have an ancient custom. We have ancient forefathers. We have an ancient culture. We spoke 3,500 years the ancient language of Hebrew. And today, the Jews in their ancient homeland, again, speak the ancient language of Hebrew. That is our culture. We are a nation. We are a culture. We have a land. We have a Torah. We have a people. We are a tribe. We are wonderful, right? And you try to deny that, which is okay. It's okay. If you want to know why we were in your countries, you can do a little bit of research and learn our history, and then you can understand what happened to us. But I don't expect you to open a book, because I don't think your brains can handle it, because you don't seem to have any intelligence to be able to understand or have reading comprehension. So I feel for you. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's fine. But I think we've put that to rest. I think we've put the idea of Jews being we're kicked out of your countries, and where do we come from? I think we put that to rest. I think you understand that now you understand where we come from. We come from Judea, from Israel, from this country. And so that fucks with your narrative of Palestine, right? So, doesn't matter, Balfour Declaration, Declaration, right? This is our ancient homeland. This is Zion. This is where our holy temple once stood. This is where we practice our Torah, right? This is where the Jews come from. This is our homeland. This is where we come from, right? The ancient kingdoms of Israel were here. The prophecies were from here. Isaiah, Shmuel, Samuel, all the books of the prophets were written here in this land. The Torah, the Bible, was written here in this country. And you deny that. Yet, you can't understand how you don't know the history of how we ended up in all other countries. And yet, you deny the fact that we are a part of your country, and you threw us out, and you don't understand why you threw us out, and you don't understand why we were never part of your culture and your country, even though we were, but we were never really considered one of you. And so, but when you really think about it, right, it makes you think, where do we come from? Why was my father called Ivre in Ukraine, in Soviet Russia, right? Why? Why wasn't he not just considered nationality Russian? He was considered in his passport Ivre. Should I show you? I'll show you. Russian Jewish passport in Soviet era. You want to see? I'll show you. Dumb fucks, right? Russian Jewish passport in Soviet Union. Okay? Okay, I'll do a little homework for you. Why are the Jews from the Soviet Union often called... In America, they were looked at as Russian. This is the passport. It's in Russian, so... one second. They weren't considered Russian, they were considered Ivre. I don't know how to read Russian, so I'll try to get you pictures. Russian Jewish passport in Soviet Union with Ivre. With Ivre written. I saw my father's passport. You had to have a passport in Soviet Russia. Here. I think this is where it says Ivre. Right? Hold on. I think this is where it says Ivre. 1 second. 1940s to 1941 Soviet occupation passports. For Jews, I have to find. Yeah, for Jewish people. Here. Why Jews from the former Soviet Union often called Russians, not in American. In America, they were called Russians, but a lot of the Jewish people that came out of Russia, they were upset that other people, like Americans, would call them Russians, because in Russia, they weren't known as Russian. they were discriminated against, and they were called Jewish. So, see, it's in Russian, so I can't. Right? Translated to English. Oh, where do we come from? Oh, no, the Jews come from... Oh, the Jews are Satan. Right. It's in Russian. You would need a Russian to confirm it, right? Because I don't know Russian. But I saw my father's passport. They were called Jew. Ask any Jewish person. They were called. My father was called Ivre. You know, so. Am I gonna get a nose job? Some Jewesses do to look European. I'm a proud Jew. I'm a proud Jew, so I don't know what your problem is. Okay. Right, so Trump is surrounding himself with pro-Jewish people. Not Jewish people, pro-Israel people. And it's not in Israel's interest to end this war until its primary goals have been achieved, one of them being the return of the hostages, right? With Qatar withdrawing and Russia seeking to play a mediating role, this could be a tricky tightrope for both Washington and Jerusalem to maneuver. You know, like, I do not believe that Putin hates Jews. Like, I really don't think that Putin hates Jews. After all, the oligarchs, most of the oligarchs in Russia now are, like you said, Jewish, and so he doesn't not like Jews. He likes Jews, and his teacher was a Jew, and he bought her a home in Tel Aviv, and he likes Jewish people, you know, like he likes Jewish people, Putin. I don't believe he's anti-Israel. I think it's just that Israel stands with Ukraine against Russia, so therefore Russia is playing the part that they don't like us, right? When in reality, Russia's teacher, one of his teachers who taught him how to wrestle, was actually somebody who he was very close with. And so Putin doesn't hate Jews. I don't believe that. You know, like, I really don't believe it. Okay, Israel prepares Lebanon ceasefire plan. Several press reports, including one in the Washington Post, have suggested that Israel is preparing a Lebanon ceasefire plan as a gift to Trump. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu dispatched Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer to the U.S. to work out the details. Two people close to Trump in this regard are Lebanese-born Christian billionaire Masad Boulos and his son Michael, who married Trump's daughter Tiffany in November 2022. Let's go see that. I want to see Trump's daughter. Tiffany marries Arab. Go see that. Trump's Tiffany married Arab. Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. This is Tiffany Trump's father-in-law. It's her father-in-law. Huh. So they must be secular, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to... He must be secular, otherwise she couldn't live with him. Okay, so they're married. Very nice. Mazel tov. Mazel tov. Let's see that. That's her wedding? Mazel tov. Okay, so that's Trump's ex-wife. And that is their kid. Trump and her had a kid. And that's the man she married. Mazel tov. They all went. That's so nice. Nice dress. That's so sweet. All the sisters and brothers together. Ivanka, Barron and her, Tiffany, are from different marriages. And these two boys are full brother and sister, and they're half. And Trump is always putting his thumb up. It's so cute. So sweet. A mother and daughter. And then she's walking with Daddy. So beautiful. I'm happy, you know, like, they should live happily ever after, you know, like, I hope that they have a wonderful life together. Mazel tov. Oh, look how cute. Inside Tiffany Trump's fairy tale wedding to her billionaire hubby, Michael Boulos, let's see the pictures. Yeah, you can see it, right? Donald, Melania, Ivanka, and the rest of the clan attended the Lebanese American-themed nuptials at Mar-a-Lago. Oh, very nice. So there's, I think they're close. Ivanka and her, they're close. She's very pretty at her wedding. She's dancing with Dada. She's daddy's little girls. Very nice. And it's Trump, Tiffany Trump with her father, Donald Trump, former U.S. president, at a wedding. Oh, that's so sweet. See it. Oh, I see big. Walking up. Very far. There's Melania in the background with Baron. This is Ivanka. And sisters. Aw. This is her half sister. This is Ivanka with her Jewish family. She's Jewish. She converted Orthodox. They keep Shabbat. They're like modern Orthodox. So like modern Orthodox, they won't hold to wearing the kippah. Also, I guess, you know, her half sister married an Arab, so I don't know, like, what his feelings are towards Jews. Right? Ivanka Trump shared photos of her half sister Tiffany Trump's joyous occasion. Mazel tov. Aww. Now they're dancing. Let's go see. Wait, I want to see the wedding pictures and dancing. Oh, gosh, seriously? I have to go search for it? No, thank you. No, it's not gonna work for me. Okay. Aww. Baron, Ivanka, Tiffany, and the two brothers. And there's him dancing. Donald Trump with his daughter dancing. Newlywed daughter. So beautiful. Aww. So happy. At least he acknowledges his daughters from different marriages, because, like, you know, the Bidens, they don't acknowledge their grandkids that they don't want to acknowledge, right? So it's lovely. It's beautiful. I'm so happy for them. And I hope they live happily ever after, you know? There's not enough happy people in the world that actually have successful, happy lives, right? What do you say? You know, envy is a sin, right? Don't ask Christians that hate Jews. Don't ask them. Don't ask them to look into their own Bible where it says, don't be jealous, don't be this, don't be that, right? Skada Karate says Link and Wench. We are successful, that's why you're jealous. Exactly. The real pogrom was the Holodomor. That's how much persecution Jews receive worldwide from nearly every group. Exactly. Meanwhile, the Christian mayor of Amsterdam denies the Jew hunt being a pogrom. Exactly. And then they say, you're the professional. All the Jew haters come and shout, you're professional victims. I'm like, bitch, you're the one victimizing us. If you just stop trying to victimize us, then we wouldn't be victims anymore. Stop it. But you can't help yourself. You need to victimize us. And then when we kvetch, then you say, oh, look, they're professional victims. I'm like, bitch, you're coming here and you're like, acting like a little wench. And you're acting and you want to kill me. And then when we cry out, you say, oh, professional victims, because you're literally clobbering us, attacking us everywhere in the world. And we're crying out and we're saying, this is not okay. Oh, you're a professional victim, so stop trying to victimize us. Stop making us into victims if you don't want us to be professional victims. Stop victimizing us. Just stop it. It's not hard. You know what I'm saying? Getting to positions of power by subversion and destroying the society you benefit from the usury. Okay, so then why do you have us in your countries, and why did you kick us out? Why? And where do we come from? Right? Joe Biden just sniffs them, yeah. Biden is a Zionist, right? Sure. You don't have to be Jewish to be a Zionist. Right? That's what he said. His words. So, he believes that Jews are indigenous to Israel, and this is our country. And so, yeah, God is a jealous God. He loves us, and he wants us to be faithful to him. But y'all need Jesus. Okay? Back to Trump, right? Two people close to Trump in this regard are Lebanese-born Christian billionaire Massad Boulos and his son Michael, who married Trump's daughter Tiffany in November 2022. One of the main reasons of Trump's team, and particularly his Middle East envoy, will be to expand the historic Abraham Accords that his first administration mediated, and bring Saudi Arabia into the fold to make it the most powerful bloc of nations in the region against the axis of resistance. It is also likely to resuscitate the deal of the century, authored by a team headed by Trump's senior advisor and Jewish son-in-law, Jared Kushner. His daughter's Jewish, his grandkids are Jewish. Yeah. While Trump's new team might go as far as supporting Israel's sovereignty in Judea and Samaria, which is great, right? Because this is literally where we come from. Even though y'all want to deny, and lie. It's so funny. We spoke about the new movie that came out, which was starred by a Jewish woman who's Israeli that lives here in Israel. And she's playing the Mother Mary of God, right? And all you Christians are going nuts because how dare a Jew play a Jew? Like, Jesus' mother was Mary, Miriam, Jewish. But how dare a Jew who comes from the same region in Israel where Jesus' mama Mary came from, she was also Israeli, and a Jew from Judea is playing a Jewish woman. Oh, how dare the Jews play their own part in a movie. How dare we? Oy vey. Right? Not allowed. But you can't really rationalize with the Jew hater, right? It's also likely to resuscitate the deal of the century, authored by a team headed by Trump's senior advisor and Jewish son-in-law Jared Kushner. While Trump's new team might go as far as supporting Israel's sovereignty in Judea and Samaria, and what former U.S. Ambassador David Friedman calls one Jewish state in his book, it could also revert to the annexation of the settlements combined with the establishment of a Palestinian state envisioned in the 2020 peace plan. Not acceptable. We do not accept a Palestinian state within our country. No thank you. The Jews don't want it. The Arabs don't want it. Done. Over. In April, the Biden administration signed $14.3 billion in emergency security assistance for Israel. And in September, approved an $8.7 billion aid package, including $3.5 billion for wartime procurement and $5.2 billion for defense systems such as Iron Dome and David Sling. We spoke about that the other day, about David Sling and Iron Dome. But the thing is that what good is all this money if when we try to buy weapons, you do an embargo? And I was like, what? What good is it? See what I'm saying? We try to buy weapons from France. They don't want to sell us weapons. This means that Israel needs to become, we had a manufacturing weapons facility in Israel pre-1970. After that, America decided that we should only buy weapons from them because it's the war machine, right? And it's a big mistake because now you see that when we literally need weapons to defend ourselves, like America they are doing a partial embargo where they literally won't give us weapons that we need. They'll give us some weapons and they won't give us. Do you know what I mean? Jewish supremacist Crutch's Corner. as jealous should we be not? You can be jealous. I don't know why you'd want to be jealous of Jews when literally we are hunted down in every corner of the world and killed, spat on, and victimized. And not only that, you all hate us and you all want to kill us and do October 7th on us. Why would you be jealous? Plus, we have the Torah, which is 613 commandments of do's and don'ts, commandments of following the commandments of the Torah, which are do's and don'ts, plus chumras, which are extra stringencies and traditions and customs, which we need to follow. And it's a very restrictive lifestyle. Why would you be jealous of that? If anything, you should be happy that you're not Jewish. And you should feel pity for us. Do you understand? They're angry over that. Right. I'm a fascist. Right, of course. When are you going? What panel? But Mussolini had that Jewish girlfriend who helped him with his fascist ideology. I don't know that. Oh, probably another, it's probably another, like, conspiracy theory, you know? Like, the Jew-hating community, they're conspiracy theorists. They love conspiracies. They can't live without a good conspiracy theory, like, with zero evidence to back up their claims, but whatever. You're a lover? Very nice. I definitely don't follow all. Yeah, but most Jews are supposed to follow the 613 commandments of do's and don'ts and celebrate the high holidays and do this and that. And that's our responsibility as Jews. Yet, you choose to, not you, Splashbug, I'm talking about all these goyim who are hunting us down and being jealous of what? What are you jealous of? Why are you jealous? What are you jealous of? What the fuck? You know, like, we're being hunted down in the street. We're being hunted down. And we're not doing no hunting. We're being hunted down. You know this. Stop lying. You know this. You go on the internet hunting for Jews to spit at us. Why do you think you're on my channel now? Because you're throwing out all your hate at me and saying, oh, the Jesus, you're a synagogue of Satan, you're this, you're that, you're not the real Jews, you genocide, right? Oh, but you're not doing the hunting, right? Why did I move to the east? Because I'm a Jew. Get out of your nations, get out of our nations, you can have your own, but get out. So where are we going? Back into the ovens? What? Where do you want us to go? Where do you want us to go? Where do you want us to go, bitch? Bitch. Chaim. To life. L'chaim. Da 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 da. Drink l'chaim to life. I don't know why my fridge is making noise. I think there's demons in it. Demons? That lady, yo mama, put demons in my fridge. Okay. Okay, while Trump might maintain such a high level of security and provided aid by the U.S. to Israel, he could also cut it or use it in a way to pressure the Jewish state. This might become an issue for Israel in 2026 when the 10-year Memorandum of Understanding signed by former President Barack Obama expires. Perhaps most important of all will be the Trump administration's policy in Iran. High-level sources told the Wall Street Journal that the president-elect intends to reinstate his maximum pressure campaign against Tehran under the leadership of its original architect Brian Hook. At the heart of Trump's foreign policy is the aspiration to end wars and expand peace initiatives in conflict zone. That's great, including the Middle East, a policy endorsed by the supporters of an isolationist America First policy such as J.D. Vance, who will be vice president. The bottom line is, that while Israel can allow itself to be pleased with the makeup of the new Trump team, it should also be cautious, of course. They're not our friend. America's not our friend, no matter what. Nobody's our friend. Nobody. Right? So a lot of people have, like, a lot of people have opinions. And it is what it is. Right? Rocket shrapnel wounds 5, damaging buildings. A bus in Tel Aviv area. What? And just now. This is just now that happened. Like 2 hours ago, a woman was killed in the north. Now there's rockets landing in Tel Aviv. I'm telling you, guys. I'm telling you. This is what's happening in Israel as we speak. This country is very tiny. Should I show you the map? Should I show you the map of our country? Right? Look, I am down with the Jew haters. I mean, you're already there, but take the rest with you. We want them to come home. We want them to come home. Thank you very much. Thanks for your support. Demons aren't in your fridge. Yes, you put it there. In the end, you do lose. No, you don't need Jesus. You know that? Yo, mama, you need Jesus. You need Jesus. You are not accepting Jesus in your heart. Y'all need Jesus. That's why you hate us, because you don't have Jesus. You don't have the real Jesus, right? You would argue the USA does Israel's bidding right. Like, it's as if they haven't tried to sabotage every little thing that we tried to do in the past 70 years since we had a state. Right. Yeah, I just saw rockets were getting fired into Tel Aviv. Yeah. And Tel Aviv is an hour for me. So, for instance, for me to get to Jerusalem, I have to go to 20-minute drive to Jerusalem Center. From there, I take a train to Tel Aviv. It's like 40 minutes or less to Tel Aviv on the train. And it's really close. Very close to my town. Somehow my town has been spared from all the rockets and everything. Even though Israel is very tiny. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we've been playing victim because you victimized us. You don't have Jesus. You don't have Jesus. You need Jesus. You don't have Jesus. We Jews have the invisible God of Israel. The one invisible God of Israel. We have that. We have... oh, this guy wants to go for a walk with... I walked him. This guy wants to walk. He wants to walk my dog with his dog. I'm too tired. Hey, I'll answer later. I wasn't blessed with any looks or nothing. You're so nice. Thank you so much. The world is hip to your tricks. Whatever. It's fine. I am down with Jew haters. Down with you. Anyway, so yeah. So I want to show you the map, right? The map of Israel. Israeli map. Israel map. Listen, not all Jews are good, but most Jews are good, right? George Soros is a bad Jew. Very bad. Very, very, very bad. Okay, so where are we? I don't know if you guys see, right? Okay. This is... I'm getting a lot of messages. I can't. I'm busy. I'm busy. Okay. This is Israel, right? Here's the map. Let me make myself smaller. Okay. This is the map. We have here, right? Turkey. Cyprus is a little island where like Israelis like to go. But there's been terrorist attacks there because there are Islamists there as well. Because wherever they go, they like to just stir trouble. There's Greece, Albania, Turkey, right? Armenia, Azerbaijan, right? Islamic countries. Armenia is not supposed to be Islamic, but it's supposed to be Christian. But Azerbaijan is Islamic. Iraq, Islamic. Syria, right near Israel, on our border, right? Actually, yeah, so there's Lebanon, Syria, Damascus, right? On our border here. Jordan, right? We're not fighting with Jordan because Jordan doesn't want to fight with us for some reason. There's Egypt, Iran. We're surrounded by hostile countries and we're on the ocean. We're on the sea, right? So we have Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. These are all Islamic countries. Palestinian countries, right? These are all Palestinian countries. Morocco, Western Sahara, Mauritania, Mali, all Islamic countries. Nigeria, Ghana, Niger, Chad, Central African Republic, South Sudan, Kenya, Somalia, Ethiopia. That's it's all been overtaken by Islamic jihadis. Sudan, Chad, Libya, Algeria, Tunisia. So these are all huge countries surrounding Israel, right? We are like right over. We are right here. This little slither, that's our country. Saudi Arabia is right next to us. Jordan, Egypt. This is the Egypt. You see this? This is Israel, right? The south of Israel. Here's Gaza. The Gaza Strip right here. And here's Rafah, right near the Egypt-Gaza border. So Egypt has a border with Gaza, right? This is the border between Israel and Egypt, right? We have here Syria, Iraq, Baghdad, Georgia, Turkey, genocidal Turkey. They like to kill everybody. Well, what's new, right? Kuwait, Isfahan, all these Arab countries, Shiraz, all these Arab countries, Islamic countries. Afghanistan is here. Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, all the stands, right? And where are we? We can't even find us. Where are we? Here we are. See? On the map. That's where we are. Right here. Little Israel. Zoom out. Little Israel. You can't even see us on the map. And we're surrounded by Tunisia. Okay, there's Spain, France, Western Sahara, Sudan, Kenya. South Africa is down there. Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan. India is here. Israelis love going to India. Love. Then there's Russia there. So we're basically surrounded by hostile enemies. And our country is the size of one state of New Jersey. Then you zoom in to the country. And the north, for instance, this is the north. Haifa, Nazareth, right, where your Jesus was born. And then we have Lebanon, right? This is Lebanon on our border, and they're trying to kill us. Hezbollah is trying to kill us. Firing in rockets into our north. Haifa, Netanya, Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is near the north, closer to the north than Jerusalem. Jerusalem is more center. I live right over, like, in this area. There's Hebron, Bethlehem. There's what they call Judea and Samaria is right here. West Bank, Judea and Samaria. That's what it is. Hebron. I live in this area. And there's the south. Imagine the whole entire world is fighting over a tiny, tiny country. There's Eilat. You guys are ridiculous, all of you. You should be ashamed of yourself for going after us. Pathetic. I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. Right? He wants to walk with you? Yeah. With my dog. Jesus Christ exposed Jewish mysticism. You'll need Jesus. The world is... Yeah. You can't keep Babylon. No, they don't want us there. Leave Syria alone. Italian Jews. I chose to move to Israel. I live in Israel. It's my country. It's my home. What do you mean? And y'all happen to be the only white-skinned people in that whole region. Jews come in all colors. What are you saying? Why do you tell us that we're white-skinned when literally most Jews in Israel are Middle Eastern and they're brown? Like, most Jews in Israel are Mizrahi Jews, which means they come from... When they were dispersed out of Israel, they went to Arabic countries. And they lived in Arabic lands. And a lot of them are dark-skinned. We have Ethiopian Jews who are black. Literally very black. And we have Japanese Jews. We have Chinese Jews. We have, like, in the Jewish community, you see, like, religious Jewish community, you have Indian Jews. You have all different kinds of Jewish people here. And, but Jews are white. Oh, okay. whatever you say, right? Those people who you say is their homeland, like the Arabs who live here, are brown. It's because they come from Arabian Peninsula, where most of them are brown. People that lived here back like 3,500 years ago, they were middle skin, middle tone, or even white. Because our ancestors come from Iraq, and Iraqi people, a lot of them are white. So we come from Ur-Kasdim. Our Abraham was from Ur. And so Israel, like, the people were either middle skin or white, middle tone, and that's how it was, right? And over the centuries, when we got kicked out of here, we were in different countries, right? And so naturally, our environment influences the way you look. It's just science, right? So, yeah, I can't tell you. I've never been to Israel or read up on the history exactly. They're shameless, though, and they preach about morality exactly. Jews come in not only colors, they come in shapes and sizes. You know what I'm saying? There are Iranian Jews, Yemenite Jews. But you guys don't know that Jews come in all different kinds of... There are Ashkenazi Jews, there are Sephardi Jews, there are Mizrahi Jews. There are Jews from the tribe of Dan, and they're from the B'nai Menashe. They're all different kinds of Jews. Jews are white. Right. I took a picture with some Israeli soldiers, and I thought that that would put things to rest, but apparently not. So I'll show you the pictures that I took with them, and we'll see. I'll show you. They're not white. Can't help you. Here, there's the guy with the morals. He doesn't like Jews. He throws naked ladies out of his balcony. Here's an Arab woman who is massaging an Israeli woman's back. Wait, where's a picture of me and the girls? That's me. Sargon of Akkad made that picture. Here it is. The most beautiful Jewish Israeli woman in the world, and that's me. I don't know if you can see me, but that is me with the big hat. This girl is black. She is what you call them? Ethiopian Jews. This girl's Moroccan, probably. This girl's probably more Moroccan. Mizrahi Jews, Middle Eastern. They're brown. You can see they're not white. I'm the only one here who's white. I'm Ashkenaz. Ashkenazim are like a extinct species in Israel. Right? So yeah, Jews are white. Right, yeah, whatever you say. Jews are white. Right. Of course, white colonizers. White colonizers. Right, where is it? More pictures. Right, the Palestinian homes. Fancy, schmancy. Right? That's me. Okay, that's that, right? Of course, you haven't been to Israel because you're a Nazi. You don't want to come here. There are Latina Jews too. They're Spanish Jews. Do you know what I'm saying? So, whatever. Calm down. Okay. Rocket shrapnel wounds 5, damages buildings, a bus in Tel Aviv area. Sirens blared in Tel Aviv and Gush Dan and Sharon and Shvela areas. 5 people were wounded in Tel Aviv after a rocket crossed into Israeli territory from Lebanon. I'll say hey, yes. I have to answer. I already walked her earlier around 4-ish. That's that. So far, so good. Artist. Yeah. The guy I met yesterday while I was walking my dog, he wanted to walk with me, because basically, whatever. Okay. 5 people were wounded in Tel Aviv after a rocket crossed into Israeli territory from Lebanon, which hit identified likely from interception debris. The IDF said on Monday, today's Monday, right? This came just after multiple rocket sirens sounded across central Israel, including Tel Aviv, starting at 8:45 p.m. local time. 5 people sustained wounds from shrapnel and were being transferred to the medical whatever. 54-year-old woman is in serious condition, 1 person in moderate condition, and 3 sustained light wounds. Israel's police said that the barrage caused damage to several buildings and an empty bus nearby. Israeli media reported that a fire had erupted in Ramat Gan following the hit. Tel Aviv district forces have begun conducting searches to rule out the possibility of trapped individuals. Sirens blared in Gush Dan, Sharon, and Shvela areas. So they said that there's a woman who's 54. There are people who are suffering from shock. Some people went into shock, right? Shortly following the sirens in central area, hostile aircraft intrusion alerts sounded in Haifa area. They sent in drones, right? The military subsequently noted it had intercepted a drone that had entered Israeli territory from Lebanon. Later, hostile aircraft intrusions alerts were triggered in Eilat, which the IDF subsequently said were a false alarm. That's that, right? Oh my god. Oh my god. What? This is in Tel Aviv? Okay, that's in northern Israel. Tel Aviv. No one died, right? Oh my god. Okay. Let's go see. See different Israeli news. Ramat Gan. Wow. That's like central Israel. Safa Kiyas was killed by a direct hit by a rocket in Shafran. So this lady was killed. There's a lot of like Muslims living here, and so like rockets don't really differentiate. Rockets don't differentiate. They don't differentiate. They don't care if you're Jewish or Arab. So an Arab died. Sadly. Right, so that's that. I disapprove of whistling. How do blind people go on a blind date? A 63-year-old president of Basra was arrested on suspicion of inciting violence against Prime Minister Netanyahu. Oh boy. Oh brother. Can't deal with it. It's too much. It's too much. Too much drama. I thought things would get normal again. Tel Aviv district commander, the fall in Ramat Gan, a direct hit by a missile. 56 wounded. Anxiety victims, they're in shock. Right-wing voters hate women. That's what they say. A man was run over while running to the protected area in Bnei Brak. Fire and rescue. An electrical transformer burns. Scans to locate people trapped in elevators. The betting website checks. What are Trump's chances of ending the wars? Okay. Raises morale. In difficult times, Guy Hochman's message after the fall. Okay. What else was there? There's a lot to look at, right? The Berlin police issued a stern warning. The city is dangerous for Jews and the gay community. Jews need to get out of Europe because it's just not a good place to be. Like, a lot like Israelis, they have family in France, for example, right? And which country isn't an ethno-state? You say Israel's an ethno-state. Which country is not an ethno-state? Besides for America, right? Which is like a pure democracy. It's like the purest form of a democracy, right? Which country is not an ethno-state? Japan is ethnic to the Japanese. That's why they all look like this. Africa is ethnic for the Africans. China is ethnic for the Chinese. Europe, right? Germany is ethnic to Germans, besides for the invasion that they're having now with the Muslims. Arabs are ethnic to Arabia, right? Saudi Arabia to the Arabian Peninsula, right? Jews are ethnic to Judea, to Israel, right? We are ethnic to Israel. We are an ethnicity. We are an ethno-state. Just like Mexico is ethnic for the Mexicans, and they have a Mexican ethno-state, right? Just like Russia, just like Cambodia, just like North Korea is ethnic to the North Koreans. And they basically look a certain way. Oh, but the Jews are not allowed to have an ethno-state. Everybody else is allowed to, but the Jews are not. Why? Why? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because you're Jew haters. You can have your own ethno-state. Enjoy. Enjoy. Nobody's telling you can't. We are the number one because we are the chosen. Thank you very much. Arabs don't even belong in the Levant, yet Israel was forced to let over 20% live there. Exactly. When Israel stops milking countries for their wealth and tech secrets. Oh, we are the ones that are building up the high tech. We are the inventors of all that high tech. And now you're saying that we are the ones that are stealing your high tech? Get real, bitch. Go look up your facts and stop trying to eat up propaganda, which is not true. Because you're going to sound like Candace Owens. And we all know what's going to happen to Candace Owens. She's going down the drain. Nobody's going to be interested in her anymore. Right? Mexico is for the Mexicans, and it is an ethno-state. It's ethnic to the Mexicans. So, meanwhile, every Arab country persecutes Jews and have expelled tons of them. Yeah, because we don't belong in there. We belong in Israel. Right? All the Jewish ego, forced immigration groups keep wanting diversity. Listen, it's your punishment. It's your punishment. It's your punishment. All you white supremacists that killed 6 million Jews in Europe in the Holocaust, what's happening now to your country is your punishment. You are having Islamic immigrants take over your streets. They're going to marry your daughters and they're going to turn you into Islam. They're making you Islamic. So, Germany, you can't be an ethno-state anymore because it's your punishment. You're becoming Islamic. Soon you'll be ethnic. Your ethno-state will turn into Islamic Sharia. That will be your ethno-state. Arabs are incredible, inclusive people and don't like outside cultures. They're incredibly inclusive. Right. Keep playing victim. Right. You are victimizing us. You keep saying playing victim. You're the one who's victimizing us. You're making us into victims. You're attacking us. And then you say, oh, you're playing the victim card perfectly. Bitch. Stop. What you're doing on my channel is victimizing me. You're attacking me on my channel. You're making me into a victim. And then you're saying I shouldn't cry victim? Bitch, stop making me into one. You're an idiot. Yeah, I haven't killed anyone either. So, German leaders are the ones who invited mass droves of Islamic immigrants. And they weren't Jewish. The German leaders, they're all non-Jews. They want Islam for you. Soon the Muslims are going to marry your daughters. And they're going to marry your sons. You will all become Islamic. And you will all be Sharia. And your Jesus will be replaced by Allah and Muhammad. You won't have Jesus no more. Soon you'll have Muhammad. No, German Goyim, not Jews. Stop blaming your leaders. Stop trying to make your leaders into Jews. Come on. Why would German Jews want massive amounts of people who hate them come into the country? Exactly. It makes no sense. But Jew haters don't operate with logic. You can try to reason with them, but there's no reason. You know what I mean? I'm not attacking any cultures. Enjoy your culture. Enjoy. Enjoy your culture. You want to be Jesus? Y'all need Jesus. Go be Jesus. You want to be Islamic? Go be Muslim. You want to be any other religion? Go be my guest. Couldn't give a fuck. You know? But soon you'll be Islamic. Oh, FC, these Europeans just blame Jews for everything. Exactly. Because they can't handle the fact that their own people are fucking them over. You know? Like, whatever. Fine. Down with the haters. Down with y'all. Down with you. Besides for flash floods. Besides for splash floods. Right? Listen. You're the one who comes to my channel and says that Jews are the devil. And you say that Jews are doing genocide and everything. And then you say that I'm a Nazi. When you yourself are the one who is like literally acting like a fascist cunt coming on my channel acting like a bitch. And acting like a Nazi and using Nazi propaganda in order to create hate for my people. And then you call me a Nazi. Good twist, good twist. Try harder. Listen, y'all need Jesus. The problem is that soon you won't have Jesus no more. Soon you'll be under Muhammad and Allah. And you will be practicing Sharia. And they will marry your daughters. If they're not already. And that will be your new culture. So, calm down. Calm down. You'll be forced to convert. You know, like it's not, you won't have a choice. You think you'll have a choice? So funny. You guys are living in an alternate universe. Like, you think Islamists will give you a choice? They'll tell you convert or die. So of course you'll convert. That's their culture. You know? Oh, the Jews will be sitting here in 3,000 years from now, still Jewish, still in this country, practicing our Torah, while you will be bowing to Mecca, and your Jesus will be gone forevermore, and you won't be Christian anymore. And it's your punishment because you hate Jews. Let's see if there's a video. Wait, Bezmir, Shmirchik, wow. Look at the damage to the windows. Oh my god. Let's see the video here. There should be a video. Shmirchik. Let's go to a different one. Let's go to 24 News. Rocket hit Central Israel, 1 woman killed. Let's go see if there's a video.
200,000 Lebanese who left their homes have to come back to the areas when 29 villages and towns have been erased from the map, and 40,000 apartments have been also destroyed. So there's no way they can go back. So we are in a situation that is impossible to bridge unless Israel accepts the fact that we don't intervene inside Lebanon. We don't have the right of hot pursuit. We just leave the border between Syria and Lebanon open, and we let all those inhabitants go back to their homes, knowing ahead of time that most of the men that have to come back to the south of Lebanon are Hezbollah members.
Dr. Naria, stay with us if you can. But speaking of exactly what is happening in northern Israel right now, I want us to get another update. There was another major development that happened this evening in the north. One woman was killed when Hezbollah fired a barrage of 5 rockets toward the northern Arab town of Shmirchik. And one of the rockets directly hit a 3-story building the woman was in, also injuring at least 5 others. Hezbollah has launched more than 100 rockets towards northern and central Israel throughout the day, indiscriminately firing at communities. Let's get an update from the field. Our correspondent Zach Anders is live in Shmirchik. Zach, what's the latest there, especially following
Her
this
accent is
direct hit
awful.
on a building?
Her accent is awful. She's Israeli. She's trying to have an American accent, but it sounds really bad.
By some of the people that live in this area and the local police is that the woman who is now reported dead, a woman in her 50s, was actually inside of her safe space, one of the pre-built shelters inside the apartment, but because of the force and the impact of the direct to provide some protection, it was not enough to be able to save her life. We've also heard that while multiple injuries here on scene, the official tally from the ambulance service, as many as 10 transported to nearby medical centers. We're hearing that that number is much higher of other people with minor light injuries who were either treated on scene or were taken under their own power or through other personal vehicles to hospitals nearby. So a really wide scene here based on the fact that this area is so compact, the apartments and homes together. I mean, we're in an alleyway trying to shelter away from the rain, but to my right is the impact site. And because this area has lost power, you can't really see anything except some mangled bits of the top floor of the apartment and the awning that's now resting at a 90-degree angle, hanging down off the side of the building. The damage.
You guys are saying basically the West keeps blowing down Islamic terrorism. I don't think I consider converting to anything. You'll be forced. Well, if you can, either get leaders more like Trump or fight off millions of sand people. Sand people are the problem in America. It's South Americans. No, it's not South Americans. It's gangs from South America. It's bad people that are in jail. There's bad people that come. There are bad people everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, there are bad people that come from every culture, regardless of what religion, ethnicity you are. There will always be bad people. You know, like... oh, we want to take Lebanon? Well, the truth is, Lebanon was part of biblical Israel. So, when the kingdom of Israel was here, 3,500 years ago, we had Lebanon. Lebanon was, it's written in the Tanakh, it's written in the Bible, it's written in the Torah, it's written in the prophets, in the book of prophets, it's written in the Talmud, it's written about, it was once part of it was our country, it's part of our country. Israel, the truth is that the Israelis don't really want more territories to deal with because it's more problems. They don't want to expand Israel just because it's more territory, more problems to deal with. You know, like, you have to control it, you know, especially because we have hostile neighbors. So the bigger our country gets, the less control you have over it, generally, right? So then it's just easier to have a smaller country. You know what I mean? Right. Mass 1 is another Jew hater, right? Hate speech. You didn't mind when Islam took over Lebanon, though, did you? Fake Christian. Exactly. All these Christians, like, they're damning Israel. But there's a woman named Bridget Gabriel. She lived in Lebanon, which was once a Christian country. Then it was taken on by Palestinians. And it was taken over by Palestinians and by Hezbollah. And then they oppressed the Christians and they genocided the Christians in Lebanon. And she escaped from there. She escaped to Israel. And so Israelis treated her so well, so now she's an advocate for Christians in Lebanon, and she's an advocate for Israel. And so all these Christians that are Jew haters, they are shooting themselves in the foot because they don't realize that Israel is the #1 defender for Christians. They're idiots, right? Israel should expand. Yeah, we should. You talk about Jesus every day, and you say that Jews are... Yeah, yo mama says, have I ever claimed to be Christian? Yes. You say that Jews are damned because we don't accept Jesus, so therefore that it means you're a Christian. So now you don't need to lie. It's very obvious, right? Thank you, Mass 1. You love the Talmud. Doing season 6 part 2 reaction today or tomorrow. 6. I don't know what you're talking about. Mass. I'll let you know. Yeah, but a larger Israel would be badass, fit for a great empire. Yeah. It's true. It'd be more places to live for Jews, right? Because now it's very limited. You know, there's like nowhere to go in Israel. It's literally an open air prison. Israel is an open air prison, right? I love what Tom says that dirty Jesus guy is burning in his own excrement. Thank you. That's great. Yeah. The Talmud also states it's okay to be with 3-year-olds. It doesn't say that, but you can lie all you want. What it says about 3-year-olds is that, you know, in every culture, in the old days, they would betroth their kids when they're babies. It doesn't mean that you would have sex with them. It means that they would be betrothed, which means that when a baby's born, that baby would be betrothed to another family's baby. So when they grow older and it's time for marriage, they're betrothed, they belong to each other, they get married. It doesn't say anywhere in the Tanakh or in the Talmud about 3-year-olds having sex. Like Muhammad the Prophet, on the other hand, it states very clearly there that he fucked a 9-year-old baby girl. He fucked a 9-year-old girl. He had sex with her. He consummated it. It says, it's written there in the Quran. And that is why they have child marriages. But, oh, the Talmud, the Jews are marrying 3-year-olds. Right. Go look in any Jewish household. There's no such thing as anybody marrying a 3-year-old. And if you do that, you're sick and you get put in jail, right? But, oh, of course, yeah. Make it a Christian ethno state. Anybody could be Christian, so you can't. Christians are not an ethnicity. The same way Islam is not an ethnicity, Christianity is not an ethnicity, because anyone could be a Christian. A Jew could be a Christian. If they accept Jesus, they're considered Christian. So then, you're not an ethnicity at all. Anyone could be a Christian. Anyone could convert to Christianity and then leave Christianity tomorrow. You're not an ethnicity, but nice try, right? Whatever. Y'all need Jesus. Y'all need Jesus. Pathetic.
Dean, I wanted to ask you, what can you tell us about this blast site right now?
I think the most important thing to focus on is that the blast site is in a mixed commercial and residential area. We're talking about civilian casualties. We're in the middle of a war. We know that we're fighting a terrorist entity, but you can see here who their real focus is on, what their target is. We have multiple buildings here, residential buildings that have been hit. We can see evidence from the blast of that projectile that clearly injured the fourth that you said earlier. On the other side, we have commercial buildings, and all along the road, you have cars that have been severely damaged and property that's been severely damaged. Our bomb disposal units are going from building to building. Our officers are going building to building to see if anybody was injured from that blast or from other projectiles that may have flown in through their windows and seriously injured them.
All right, it was a week ago, less than a week ago, I believe, we had 2 days in a row with sirens.
You need Jesus. Your mama, you need Jesus. And your mama needs Jesus.
Same for the whole country. But right now, for the people in Tel Aviv, we're at between Bnei Brak and Ramat Gan, two Tel Avivian suburbs. What is the message?
Let me tell you something. Terror is not going to dictate our lives, okay? And for me, I see rockets the same as they are in the north, to the south in Eilat, or here in central Israel. And our focus, the Israel Police focus, is to be here to respond for our civilians. We ask them to listen to the instructions of the Home Front Command, Israel Police. We are in a time of war against a terror entity, but we're going to do everything possible to be here, to respond to them, to service them, and together we're going to get through this. The cooperation of the public is what's going to save lives at the end of the day.
All right, Dean Elsden, thank you very much. And Nicole, I just want to highlight again, just earlier today, you and I were talking about how this moment is being seen right now as an opportune moment for a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon and Hezbollah in Lebanon. There's a lot of diplomatic efforts taking place, but the truth is, when you're on the ground and you see just the chaos and the destruction and the fear that just one missile can cause, it's really scary, and it's hard to see an easy solution to this ongoing problem.
A problem that we've been facing for 13 months at this point. Bianca Zanini, thank you for giving us an update there, especially with the police spokesman, Dean Elsden. Thanks for your coverage. Now, although this entire broadcast, we have been focusing on all of these broadcasts and updates coming out of northern Israel, I want us to turn to the south now and get an update from Gaza as well, where 109 aid trucks entering through the Kerem Shalom crossing on Sunday were ransacked and looted. 98 of these trucks completely lost, according to a senior UNRWA officer. However, the officer doesn't actually say who looted the trucks, which was likely Hamas, as Israel has long been raising concerns of Hamas hijacking humanitarian aid.
You guys say, oh, Israel's an ethno-state. I wish it was an ethno-state, because we literally have Muslims in our ethno-state who are part of the, what you call the Likud, right? In part of the government. We have Muslims that are part of the government. They're representing their districts or whatever, and they have power. We have Muslim judges, and they have power in the Israeli state. So we don't have an ethno-state, to be real, right? If we're going to be honest, completely honest, we don't have a ethno-state. I would like it to be an ethno-state because a lot of the Muslims that are part of our Knesset, they say openly that they like what happened on October 7 and they want Israeli state to be crushed and they want Jews to die. They say it out loud, and they say that it should be there should be no more Israeli state, and it should be replaced by Islamic Republic. They want Islamic Sharia state. That's what they want. They say it openly, and they're part of the Knesset, and they have power, and they're an enemy. They're traitors, and they're in our government. So that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm glad if we have an ethno-state, but we don't. The reality is that we don't have an ethno-state. We have a state filled with all different kinds of players. Jews, non-Jews, Arabs, Muslims, Christians. It's supposed to be a democracy here, which it is kind of a democracy, but it's not working. Democracy is not really working for Israel because we can't afford to have a democracy, because with a democracy, right, it's very different when it comes to Jewish people. We can't have a democracy, you know? I think the only way we can have a so-called democracy in Israel is to have a limited, restrictive, limited democracy, because it's not possible to have a democracy here when literally our own citizens who are not Jewish want to kill us in our own country, and they call it an ethno-state. What kind of joke is this? It's like a literal joke. Do you know what I mean? Literal joke. Imagine we kicked out of a restaurant thinking it's someone else's fault. Listen, you yourself said that you're happy to kick us out of your countries, and you blamed it for some, and you call it your countries. So what does that say? We don't belong in your countries. Where do we belong? Where do we belong? If we don't belong in your countries and you have a right to kick us out of your countries, then where do we belong? Give us our land, let us live in it peacefully, and leave us alone. You just can't do that. Right? You live in a cave. I'm so happy for you. This week in history. It's live TV. Oh, this was recorded before. They're on the beach? I want to go on the beach. I'm jealous. Really? Some Croatia? It's not in Israel. Mount Fuji. Guys, it's latest snowfall in at least 130 years. What's this dust? What am I watching? Japan? I don't want to watch this. Sorry. Fishes? Ooh, fishes. Turtles. Oh, okay. So back to the news. Still captive in Gaza? Yeah, we have people captive in Gaza. That would require actual morality, which is what the world lacks. Stop stealing a picnic baskets? What? Antarctica? Even if we'd go to Antarctica, first of all, I take offense. First of all, these people are hostage, right? In Gaza, unfortunately. Second of all, I take offense to the fact that you think that I don't like Japanese people, since my father is 99.6% Ashkenazi Jewish, and 0.2% he's Japanese. So that means that I'm probably half a one. I'm probably 0.1 Japanese genetically. I take offense to that. Take that back. Bitch. Take it back.
נרצחת ולפחות 5 פצועים מפגיעה ישירה בבית בשפרעם. מהבוקר יותר מ-70 שיגורים לצפון. אלפים ליוו למנוחות את הנופלים מהתקרית בג'באליה.
כל כך קשה לי להקל שלא ניצור יחד עוד זיכרונות.
סרן יוגב פזי, אחיינו של גדי איזנקוט, הוא החלל הראשון שנקבר ביישובו.
לא יודעת כמה זמן ייקח לנו להתגבר.
וסמל ראשון נועם איתן שהוציא את שירו האחרון לפני 4 חודשים.
אני רוצה לחיות.
בזמן נאום ראש הממשלה במליאה דני אלגרט שאחיו איציק חטוף בעזה התמוטט ביציע.
ודנו בדרכים להתגבר.
This is the Knesset. They all fight and throw things at each other.
אנחנו לא נוותר על אף אחד. אני לא אוותר על אף אחד.
חברי האופוזיציה הניפו שלטים עם תמונות חטופים וקראו.
Right. So you see, here is classic Jew hatred, right? Where they throw out the most vile, dirty, disgusting, hateful comments on my channel. Like somebody that says, every time this person, yo mama, sees an Israeli flag on a coffin, she's celebrating. This is the type of hatred and vitriol that Jews get on a daily basis, right? Which means that she's happy to see my family members die, right? And then she acts like a victim and says, oh, why are you acting like a victim? You fucking piece of garbage. You fucking piece of cunt that you are. How dare you come and laugh at our pain and then pretend to be victimized, right? When literally you're acting vile and in such a hurtful, disgusting, hateful way towards my kind. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. Shame on you. It's not funny. It's not cute. It's not cute. You are a hater. You are a Nazi. You are a fascist. And then you complain when I react. And then you say, oh, he's the victim. Because you're victimizing me. What you have done just now is victimizing me. Victimizing my people, laughing at our pain. I hope that in the name of the one invisible God Almighty, invisible God of Israel, God should avenge our pain on you. And you should see it in your life every day.
לעבר העיר שפרעם, אישה נרצחה ו5 בני אדם נפצעו. מאמצי ההסדרה עם לבנון עדיין לא מבשילים לאחר עיכוב קל. המתווך הוכשטיין.
I live in a mansion, of course. Right.
יצא ללבנון לדון בפרטי ההסכם ההולך ומתגבש. במקביל, ראש הממשלה נתניהו עולה הערב לדוכן הכנסת ומתייחס לסוגיית בקרוב, וכי ישראל פגעה ביכולת ייצור הגרעין של איראן. תחילה אנחנו לפגיעה הישירה בשפרעם. כתבנו אוריה קשת מפרטים ראשונים עולה כי הנרצחת שהתה במרחב מוגן בעת הפגיעה.
5 שיגורים שנעו משטח לבנון לתוך שטחי מדינת ישראל. זו
You wish Jews to die and then you act like a little piece of garbage, like a cunt. And then you
ממש
pretend to be
פה
so
במבנה מעלינו, הרקטה שפגעה ישירות בתוך המבנה גרמה לכך שהמרחב המוגן קרס לתוך עצמו ובעצם הרג תושבת הכפר בת 50, תושבת
And you'll pray to your Jesus and
על מי רסיסים הוא משברי הבניין, שכמו שאתם רואים באמת הנזק פה הוא עצום, 10 פצועים קל משברי הבניין שנפל פה. צריך להגיד, אנחנו רואים את זה יותר ויותר בשבועות האחרונים. הנפילות בחברה הערבית גורמות, בכפרים של החברה הערבית, בת 50 ששעתה במרחב המוגן. בנוסף לכך ישנם עוד 10 פצועים במצב קל מרסיסים ומשברי הבניין, שכמו שאתם רואים באמת הנזק פה הוא עצום, 10 פצועים קל משברי הבניין שנפל פה. צריך להגיד, אנחנו רואים את זה יותר ויותר אנחנו רק רגע נתרחק כדי לפנות לעבודת המשטרה לעשות את עבודתה, אבל כמו שאמרנו, בעקבות הנפילות בחברה הערבית בעקבות חוסר המיגון בחברה הערבית. אנחנו רואים פה המון מקרים קשים. ראשי המועצות, ראשי הכפרים פונים כבר חודשים ארוכים לכל מי שנוגע בעניין, אם זה מערכת הביטחון ואם זה משרדי הממשלה, ומבקשים מהם לדאוג למיגון הולם בכפרים ובערים. אירוע שעד כה לא קרה, צריך להגיד. האירוע הזה מגיע לאחר יום גם הוא גדוש בהזעקות בצפון הארץ, כמעט 100 שיגורים גם של רקטות וגם של כטב"מים לעבר יישובי הצפון שגרמו לנזקים.
You know, like, I already have bad luck. I'm single. I'm single by choice. I chose to be single. I chose it. If I want, I could have been married a long time ago. There's plenty of guys that want to marry me. I don't want to marry them. It's not a matter of luck, it's a matter of choice, right? But when things that are out of your control start going to shit, you'll know where it comes from. You know what I'm saying?
את השגרה למקומה. מדובר בחשמל, עמודי חשמל שקרסו, מספר מבנים שנשברו נמצאים בסכנת קריסה. כוחות המשטרה בסיוע, כמו שאתם רואים, גם של אזרחי המקום, מנסים לעשות הכל כדי להגיע ולהבין מה המצב עדיין בזירה. ישנם מבנים שכמו שאמרנו נמצאים בסכנת קריסה, ולכן המשטרה והכוחות באזור סורקים כרגע מבנה אחר מבנה כדי לוודא שאין עוד לכודים באירוע הזה.
כן, אלה התמונות משפרעם. תודה רבה אוריה. כתבנו הצבאי ינון שלום איתך. אנחנו יודעים לומר...
They look like Arabs. They don't. If you come to Israel and you live here for a while, you'll be able to tell the difference between Israelis and Arabs. Because while they might share the same skin tone, they have different faces.
כנראה או ברקטה כבדה או בטיל קרקע, גם היקף השיגורים היחסית קטן שבדרך כלל מערכות ההגנה האוויריות מצליחות להתמודד איתו יכול לרמז לנו על... במרחב מוגן היא עשויה להסב נזק גם למי שנמצא בתוך המרחב המוגן. מרחבים מוגנים בדרך כלל יודעים להתמודד ולמגן בצורה טובה מאוד מול נזק סביבתי, מול רסיסים, מול פגיעות של הדף כמובן. ראינו אנשים שלא סגרו את...
Wow, but at the end of the day we're seeing some sort of disconnect between Hamas and Gaza, Hamas in Qatar, and now according to reporting in...
One thing about you Nazis, right? Like people like Yogi and Yo Mama here. One thing about you guys, you're so like, all you care about is genetics and the way people look. You care about DNA, you care about genetics, you care about, you're so superficial. All you care about is color. You're so racist, you're so Nazi, you're so fascist. All you care is about how people look. You're so superficial. It's like, come on, like, you're more than what you look like. Just understand that. You have a soul.
Israel's public broadcast can some, not all, but some of Hamas leadership in Qatar has left to Turkey because we know, at least according to U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, that Qatar had informed Hamas leadership that it's time to leave, that they cannot stay in Qatar. Turkey was one of the options that we even discussed here in this studio as a leading option, given the close, the affinity to the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas there, perhaps trying to increase its Turkey's patronage over Hamas. At the end of the day, we are seeing no movement in terms of the negotiations. There is an Israeli attempt, at least on the part of the Israeli mediators, to present a new proposal. But if we're looking at the situation on the ground, the operation in northern Gaza is continuing also.
Well, next time don't kill 6 million Jews, and then you won't need to hear about it. Next time don't be a Nazi and don't murder Jews, and then you won't need to hear it for the next 6 million years. Simple.
In the south, and according to the steps that the IDF engineering steps is carrying out on the ground, they're preparing for an extended stay. Haaretz reported last week that it's expected to be until end of next year. And so there is some discrepancy between what the IDF is doing on the ground and the hopes for a ceasefire. But this also comes as Hamas continues to regroup. Just finished second batch of recruitment to fill in the ranks following the successful IDF operation to degrade its military capabilities.
Our soldiers,
but, as we know,
our soldiers are the most bravest soldiers in the world. They are the most badass. They're the most warrior. They're the sweetest. They're the kindest. They're the best.
Hamas is not going anywhere. And again, in the absence of an alternative to Hamas's civil leadership inside the Gaza Strip, they're here to stay and they're not going anywhere. And that's how they're treating the situation as well.
Yaakov?
God avenge our blood. I mean, they basically stole babies. You see this woman? They stole her and her babies. Two of her babies, her and her husband. They took them into Gaza. We don't know what happened to them. They're holding them hostage. We don't know what happened to them. This is our enemy. This is the terrorists who you guys stand with. You're a bunch of fucking Nazis. Stealing babies out of their cribs. Like, who does that? Only Nazi fascist. Jew-hating pigs. What do you mean? Right? You can speak in English. What is this? This is... Oh, it's in Gaza. No, thank you. I'm not interested to see. What's this dust? Okay. Erdogan to propose his plan to freeze Russia-Ukraine war. Biden greenlights Ukraine's long-range strikes to Russia. Saudis host Arab Islamic summit in Gaza. On Gaza, Lebanon war. Arab Israeli man inspected damage. We saw that. Okay, so let's go see for fun American news, shall we? Let's go see. Or do you want to see Arab news, like Palestinian media watch? You want to see what they say? Do you want to see the Nazis on Islamic jihadi? You know? Okay, let's go see the Islamic jihadis. Shiite Iraqi militia officer Yusuf al-Naseri. Americans are brainless, cowboys, diabolical, bloodthirsty. We should not fall victim to manifest infidel like Trump. Who wants to see that? Who wants to see that? This is the people that are going to take over your country very soon. Right? Hold up. Let me make myself smaller. If I can do that. Put myself. Wait, make myself smaller. That's possible. Okay. Welcome. Deputy leader of the pro... This is deputy leader... Wait, hold on. This is the... Okay, Arab TV, Islamic TV. Deputy leader of the pro-Iran Iraqi Shiite al-Nujaba militia Yusuf al-Naseri. Russia Today TV, November 8, 2024. This is their TV. Our war in Palestine is not just Palestine Zionist war, it's a global war. Of course it is. I said in the conference earlier today that if Palestinian falls, why can't I find my mouse? That if Palestine falls in the Zionist hands, Russia and the world will also fall. Do not think that the war in Palestine is a minor war, it is a global war. The compass of change in the world. Where is it pointing? Hold on. Why can't I find my mouse? Hold on. The compass of change in the world is pointing at Palestine. For us, it is all the same whether Trump, Harris, or anyone else wins the elections. There is no difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. We're all the infidel, according to them. When it comes to foreign policy, they're all the same. The only difference is that Trump is not a hypocrite. Trump is a manifest infidel. He's a manifest infidel. Do you hear this? So he's saying that all the other infidels, like all the evil, you know, 'cause in Islam they have to kill the infidel, right? We're all the infidel because we're not Islamic. We're called infidels. So Trump, all the other Republicans and Democrats, all along, they never fulfilled their word. So nobody respected them. But Trump does what he says. He's a manifest infidel. He manifested what he said. Be careful. And that's why they respect him. Even though they hate him, they respect him. Trump is a manifest infidel. Hypocrites are more dangerous, he said. I demanded in the conference that BRICS expedite economic transactions without the US dollar. The US dollar and the American economy must be destroyed. Other agreed upon currencies need to take over global economy. Therefore, we should not fall victim to the obsessions of someone crazy like Trump. He's crazy enough to destroy you. He will drag the U.S. into inflicting more destruction in the world. We must prepare for bigger wars. Right, so they don't like Trump because Trump is going to neutralize them. Trump is going to neutralize them. Gosh. Right, now Hitler's Jewish. Oh my god, it's so funny. Now, for the Nazis, they can't even accept that Hitler was one of them. Now Hitler, who killed 6 million Jews, was Jewish. I mean, how much more crazy could you get, right? So, what does this guy says, right? He says, we must prepare for bigger wars. The difference between the Americans and us is that the Americans are brainless cowboys. Really? You think that Americans are brainless? Really? That's why we have the most powerful military? They are diabolical, satanic, murderous, rogue terroristic. So it sounds very much like Yo Mama, who comes on my channel and says that Jews are satanic. So it seems like you Christians and Islamic people, you share the same kind of rhetoric. Exactly, Yogi lives in a cave. Wait, what did he say? Bloodthirsty and bloodshedding, they kill women and children along with fighting men. No, that's what you do. Not only do you kill women and men and children along with fighting men, you use them as human shields, and you basically target. You go into people's homes on their high holidays, and you go and you murder them in their homes with their children. That's what you do, you terrorist piece of garbage. We are different. We do not have that mentality. We have civilization. No, you don't. We go back. Let's see. We are different. We do not have that mentality. Right. Your mentality is just to like go into people's homes on their high holidays and murder the men, women, and children in their beds. Rape the women. Rape the dead bodies. Right. Rape the men too. Necrophilia. Right. And then burning the bodies and chopping them up, chopping off women's breasts. Like, that's what you do. You're different. That's right. You are different.
أبناء حضارة فجة. كم عمر الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية؟ 300 عام. ولذلك هم يفتخرون.
Oh, they think that we're different. We don't have a mentality. We have civilization and history. Really? What's your civilization? They live in a sandbox. They only started using the toilet 50 years ago, while Western civilizations have been using the toilet for 200 years. Their civilization, he's saying our civilization is immature. How old is the United States? 300 years?
الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية 300 عام ولذلك هم يفتخرون.
This is why they're proud to be cowboys.
قتلوا أكثر من 90
They killed more than 90 million Indians. 90 million? Give me a break.
يملكون الأرض من.
They own the land. That's propaganda. That's where we see propaganda. Where did you get that number from? It's Islamic propaganda. Perverted civilization. Our civilization is perverted. Their civilization is perverted. They fuck little boys. They're called Bakabazi boys. They go and they dress little girls like boys. Little boys like girls, and they fuck them in Afghanistan and in Iraq. Right? That's what they do. It's not considered homosexual for a grown man to fuck a little boy. That's their civilization. That is their culture.
المنحرفة الضالة وكم للكيان الصهيوني من عمر انتهت هم يقاتلون.
How old is the Zionist entity? We go back 3,500 years. They are fighting men who belong to a civilization that is thousands of years old.
رجال ينتمون إلى آلاف السنين من الحضارة. كم خضنا من الحروب؟
How many wars have we waged? We waged hundreds of thousands of wars. Right, because you're warmongers and murderers.
نمتلك الأرض.
And we still have the land that the present and the future know.
ونمتلك الحق.
They have been permanently, basically since 1948, since we won the war that they started to try to butcher us, they've been permanently humiliated, and because of that humiliation, they could never get over it. Because the Jews defeated them. And because the Jews defeated them, for an Islamic jihadi, it's the worst humiliation to ever experience. And they are permanently humiliated, and they will continue to be humiliated. And they're digging their grave. The more they try to kill us, the more humiliated they will be.
ونمتلك المستقبل. نازلنا نحن من يسيطر
You have no control.
إذا ضربت إسرائيل.
We have the power to basically flatten all of Lebanon, flatten all of Gaza, but we have mercy on them. So they're very pompous, right? They talk out of their ass, but they don't realize that the only reason they're still alive is because of our mercy.
بأي ضربة موجعة في العراق سيتحول القرار الشعبي إلى قرار سيادي، إلى قرار حكومي. على الحكومة أن تعلن الحرب على الكيان الصهيوني. إذا لم تعلن سنغير الحكومة. حتى نأتي بحكومة تعلن الحرب على الكيان الصهيوني.
Idiots. This is Islam, my friends. Americans should be proud to be cowboys. They have the best military on earth. The Americans, right? The most powerful. They have nukes. Why? Because they have Jews. The reason why America is the most powerful is because the Jews gave you the nukes. And so therefore, we gave you the power. And therefore, you have the most powerful military on earth because of Jews. And because of our ingenuity. Because of our inventions. Because of everything that we've given you. And that is why America is so great, because it was based off the Ten Commandments, right, from our Bible. That is why America is a just country and a great civilization. And we gave it to you. We invented your civilization. We taught you culture, right? Right, it's all our fault, right? Funny because these Islams come right out and say that they want to dominate the West, and these Western morons are like, duh, Jews are torturing Arabs. Exactly, they're so stupid. And their stupidity is what's going to be their downfall, because Israel will live on, the Jews will live on forever. But you, all these Nazis in America, all these Nazis in Germany, your civilization is going down. Your life is at risk from these Islamic jihadis, right? We're going to be here forever. The prophecy has been fulfilled. Israel has returned. Jews have returned to Israel. Your civilizations, on the other hand, are going in a nosedive, right? We literally did everything on our own, but because the U.S. wanted us to be dependent on them, that's why we stopped our military factories to stop creating weapons. And it was stupid, because now we see how America turned their back on us, right? At Houthi rally following death of Hezbollah, Secretary General Nasrallah crowd chants, "The blood of the martyr will eradicate." They use their kids, right? Charlotte Case International Coordination of Samidun recently designated a terror organization. What does she say? It's lunatic. I don't know who this freak is. Okay. Let's see who else there is. Chinese nationals serving in Ukraine with the Russian army discuss their service in viral video. Free. Let's see what else there is. There's a lot of stuff we can look at, you know, the way they teach their kids to hate Jews. You want to see that? You want to see how they teach their kids to hate Jews? Let's see how they teach their kids to hate Jews, shall we? Children visit Hamas Weapons Expo in Gaza. Post their photos with weapons and fighters. We're preparing for the decisive battle with the enemy. We have the power to flatten Lebanon and Gaza, but we don't because we have mercy. Because we understand that that's no way to fight a war, right? because we care for civilians. We care for their civilians more than they care for their own families. We care for their families more than they care for their families. What did Golda Meir say? She said, "There will be peace only when the Muslims learn to love their children more than they hate Jews. That's the only time there will be peace." This is a clear message to the enemy. You're preparing and Allah willing, you have a custom battle, blah, 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 blah. And look at them. They were so happy to attack us. Now look at them. Yeah, so this is Islam, my friends. And Christianity was no better, going back 3,000 years, as you can see. The product of Christianity is basically these Jew haters that come on my channel that are Christian, and they are so hateful to Jews. And why? Because they follow what it says in the New Testament, which says that, oh, the Jews are the Pharisees. The Jews are synagogue of Satan. Jews need to be killed because, oh, Jews need to be gone because Jews reject Jesus. That's Christianity, and they've been doing Holocaust and October 7th on us for 3,000 years, or maybe 2,500 years, right? And Islam is a late learner. They basically learn from each other, right? So, yeah, whatever. We have a lot of Nazis on this channel. Let's go see if we can see this lady. Let's go see who this lady is. Right, anyway. That's that, my friends. Should we go to Palestinian Media Watch? Should we do that? I think PA to children. Balfour Declaration was Satan's promise. Gaza's top Islamic scholar issues fatwa criticizing October 7 attacks. Oh, so if you criticize what Hamas did to Jews on October 7, you need to be killed. This is Gazan Islamic top scholars. Palestinian Authority continues to demonize Donald Trump, of course. They're afraid of him. They know what's coming is their end, right? Abbas's advisor, terror is legal, but only PLO can decide on the armed option. Islam, they're going crazy. They're nuts. But soon we will take down the Iron Dome. You see, not the Iron Dome, the Golden Dome. What do you call that? The mosque on top of our Holy of Holies. We're gonna take it down. We're gonna destroy it. And with that, we will rebuild the third temple. And we will rebuild the temple in Israel. We will rebuild the third temple of Israel, right? It will be rebuilt. And it will be rebuilt. We will knock down the Al-Aqsa Mosque. We will rebuild our temple where it once stood. And we will worship there, and perhaps Lebanon will be part of Israel again. Gaza as well. West Bank will be part of our sovereignty, and like Judea and Samaria. And there will be peace in the Mideast because we will be the dominating power, and we will tell them to behave. Because without us, they'll be killing each other for another 1,000 years, right? So they really need us. You know what I'm saying? The dual citizenship wanted to get out of the country if he also exploded the nuclear plant at Dimon. Oh, you love JFK. You care for all the with that zero evidence, which is fine. We hate everyone? No, we don't have time to hate you. We're too busy. We thrived on our own because we fought off the enemies that wanted to genocide us. We fought them off. We won without American help, without your help. In fact, the Americans in the West, they tried to get involved and they tried to basically like support the Muslims in their attempt to kill us. I don't know if that's a true statement, actually. Right? Maybe it wasn't a true statement. But I think the West, you know, like America wasn't pro-Jews. They actually funded the Nazi eugenics. Like the CIA, the intelligence of the Americans, the elites, they were funding Nazi Germany's eugenics program. And they loved the whole genetic DNA thing. So America's not really our friend. right? And I think when the Arabs tried to destroy us in 1948, I think that the elites in America were actually pretty happy about it. Like, they were hoping that we would get destroyed for some reason. You guys should watch Francisco Gil White, who speaks about this subject. He's very good. I've played his videos on my channel before. He explains everything. It is a spiritual war because, like, the Christians think that they are the new Jews, right? Like, replacement theories. The Islamic think also that they're the new Jews. Islam and Christianity are so similar. Every day it's a battle on my channel, exactly. It doesn't say kill Jews. It just says, the New Testament doesn't say kill Jews. It just says that Jews are synagogue of Satan. That's all. And Jews are demons. Right? Like, who are you kidding? Right? The Jews killed JFK, exactly. It cracks you up. I don't know why they tied it together, that narrative. Zero evidence, but okay. Including Jews like Jack Ruby, who was also ended. He was Jewish mafia. We love the Jewish mafia. Like, I think that when Jews are in power, it really scares the non-Jews. Like the Goyim, it really scares you. I don't know why. Why is it? You know, we're really good people. Calm down. Calm down. Right? You all need to follow the 7 laws of Noah. If you all follow the 7 laws of Noah, which is part of the 10 Commandments, you wouldn't be this hateful. You wouldn't need Jesus. You would just believe in the one invisible God of Israel, and you would follow the 7 laws, which teach you morality. But instead, you don't even embrace the 10 Commandments. You embrace Jew hatred and bigotry and Nazism and fascism. Like, haven't you guys learned from history that fucking with the Jews is not good for you? Haven't you learned from history that killing us is not good for you? You know, you can kill all the Jews if you think that that will help you. You can try to eradicate us, but it's going to only lead to more death. The entire world, like in World War II, Germany killed 6 million Jews, right? And the Nazi Germany. And it went on to kill like 20 million more people died in World War II. What good did it bring to the world? Nothing. No good, right? Yeah, a lot of American companies did fund the Nazis, sickening enough, yeah. Ford, Bayer, aspirin, and some others. Exactly. Islam and Judaism is very similar. Not really. It's not true, but that's okay. You can have your opinion. Muslims like to have sex with 9-year-olds. Jews don't believe in that. You know, if it's written that, what's her name? Sarah got married when she was 3 years old, it just means a betrothal, which most cultures do. You know, in the old days, they would betroth their children, which means that later on, when they're of age and they get married to each other, they would get betrothed when they're babies. But I can't expect you guys to understand that because you're silly. But that's fine, you know? Like, can't convince Jew hater they want to hate. The hater gonna hate, right? And the Jews are not after your kids. The Jews are minding their own business. The only people that are flooding your gates are immigrants, such as people from the jihadi groups. But you want to like stick your head far up your ass and like an ostrich. But I'm sorry to tell you, but it's not going to help you. You know, at the end of the day, the people who are going to come with a sword at your door to kill your children, like what happened in England a few weeks ago, where a Muslim went and at a Taylor Swift concert, he went and he murdered 3 little baby girls. And you're fine with that somehow. Like, oh, but it's the Jews' fault. Okay, listen, when they come at your door with the sword, because that's probably what they will do, don't cry. Because at the end of the day, you brought it on yourself by your own Jew hatred, you know? Hate really blinds people. They can't think straight, you know? So, yeah, it's weird. Can't have a Jew in power for some reason, exactly. Right? How many butt plugs do we own? I never thought of it, but it sounds good. Blood libel, yeah, you guys like literally accuse us of doing the most horrendous crimes throughout history. The Christians have actually the Christians have actually accused us of doing all different kinds of terrible things, which are lies, and which you repeat, which is called a blood libel. Accusing us of doing bad things to people is called blood libels. Accusing us of spilling blood, you're lying about it. It's a libel. But you don't get it. That's why you even say it like that. So you're sick, right? Shmirchik, any updates on dating? Like, no, nobody. Shmuel, the guy's a little nuts. He is a little nuts, so yeah. Worshipping your weird god Mullah. Anyway, yeah, it's been real. Feel free to subscribe or to unsubscribe. If you're a Nazi, you're not welcome here. You can go, you can go and fuck yourself and jump into a river somewhere with very strong waves and what do you call that? Rapids. Go jump in a river with very high rapids. Or maybe go in the Niagara Falls. Better there, jump in the Niagara Falls, right? And, Jew haters, jump in the Niagara Falls. Those who like to support my channel, you're welcome. To subscribe or to unsubscribe. You're free to like or not to like. It's been real. I have to learn to navigate, right? With my growing popularity with all the Nazis. And yeah, this is the Nazis corner because it seems like I attract a lot of Nazis to my channel. Like Yo Mama, the Nazi, and Yogi, and all these freaks coming to my channel. It's so strange. Have a great night, Splash Buzz. Yeah, his cricket's out my window. You're right. Right? Whatever. Sky. Go read a book. Go Tarot Karate. Read a book. No, you're a fascist because you hate Jews. People who hate Jews are Nazis because the Nazis hated Jews. So you're a fascist. You're a Nazi. You're like Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes and that guy, Bill Zarian, and all these freaks, lowlives, You're all the same. But it's good for revenue, I got a lot of views today, so strange, right? Anyway, have a great day. It's been real. And I need to learn to navigate with my renewed popularity. I have to either ignore the chat or whatever. I don't know how other people do it. Maybe just like, if I get monetized, then I can read all the, the people that pay super chats. Oh, before I go, I'm going to play a song. Okay? I have to always end because I have so many Nazis on the channel. So I have to play the song so that it ends in a good note where it's not bad energy. Do you know what I'm saying? Keep repeating the same thing. The raspberry.
Hawaii kuone hanawe kuuhome kula ivine Polino wawina pono lanio E Hawaii aloha E haoli na o pio Hawaii ne Oli Makani e mamaine Mau ke aloha no Hawaii
Oh Hawaii, oh sands of my birth, my native home I rejoice in the blessings of heaven. O Hawaii, aloha, aloha. Happy youth of Hawaii, rejoice, rejoice. Gentle breezes blow, love always for Hawaii. E ha'i mai ko maukini lani e. May your divine people speak. O maukupa aloha e Hawaii. Your loving people, O Hawaii. Na mea oli no ka mahao no luna mai. The holy light from above. E Hawaii, aloha e. O Hawaii, aloha. E haoli na oki o Hawaii e. Oli e, oli e. Maina e ate makani e pamai e. Au ke aloha no
I want to play it again, and I'm going to put it louder. The Hawaii people, and actually the Hawaii people and the Native Americans, they love Israel because they identify with us. Because they're basically the Native Americans.
E Hawaii e kuone hanawe. Kuhome kula ivine. Polino awina pono lanio. E Hawaii, aloha e. E haoli na oki o Hawaii nei. Oli e, oli e. Maina e a e makani e pamai ne. Mau ke aloha no Hawaii. O Hawaii, O sands of my birth, my native home. I rejoice in the blessings of heaven. O Hawaii, aloha, aloha.
Aloha, aloha.
Happy youth of Hawaii, rejoice, rejoice. Gentle breezes blow, love always for Hawaii. E ha'i mai ko maukini lani e. May your divine people speak. O maukupa aloha e Hawaii. Your loving people, O Hawaii. Na mea oli no ka mahao no luna mai. The holy light from above. E Hawaii, aloha e. O Hawaii, aloha. E haoli na oki o Hawaii e. Oli e, oli e. Maina e
ke ahua e malama mai amo.
God protects you.
Ko maukua lono aloha nei.
Your beloved riches.
Ko mau kahawai o lino lino mau.
Your ever glistening streams.
Ko mau mala kuanani e.
Your beautiful flower gardens.
E aoi na oi o Hawaii e.
Happy youth of Hawaii. Rejoice! Rejoice! Rejoice!
Girl, she love you. Auntie loves the baby. Is the Amber jealous? Amber's jealous. Amber's jealous. Jealous? Mr. Amber wants also attention. Love and attention. Yeah. With the baby. Yeah? Okay. Okay, let's close the computer.